A cathedral-sized corpse crashes through the east wall, and the first thing my skeleton maid does is dust it. I stand ankle-deep in holy water as 30 armored zealots stare at the impossible creature curtsying beside me. 5 minutes ago, I am the condemned grave clerk they planned to burn before supper. See, in the Radiant Dominion, everyone with a class becomes some variation of a holy knight. Sword saints guard the cities. Shield apostles protect the roads. Censer cavaliers hunt plague beasts through the valleys. Even the bakers awaken as hearth paladins and bless bread hard enough to crack a demon's teeth. Then there is me. A black system alert still burns across my vision. Unique class detected. Necromancer. Registry population. 1. Talk about spectacularly bad timing. The massive corpse in front of me used to be a carrion colossus. It has 6 legs, 3 rib cages, and a cathedral bell fused into its throat. The bell rings whenever it breathes. Every toll strips another layer of golden light from the fortress wards. The holy knights have been fighting it since dawn. They are losing. Badly. My maid lifts her feather duster. Her name is Mara. At least, that is the name stitched into the scorched apron hanging from her narrow skeleton. She has no lower jaw. Her left eye socket contains a blue funeral flame. 3 of her vertebrae are cracked, and someone has tied them together with curtain cord. She is not impressive. She is also the only reason the carrion colossus is no longer moving. Mara taps the monster's exposed ankle with the wooden handle of her duster. A black curse spreads through the dead flesh. The enormous leg locks. The colossus tips sideways. 30 holy knights dive away as several tons of rotting sanctified meat slam into the flooded chapel. Silver tiles explode. Holy water reaches the ceiling. A severed foot lands beside High Marshal Othric Dane. He does not look pleased. Honestly, he rarely does. Othric is the commander of the Dominion's western armies, the owner of 9 consecrated fortresses, and the man who signed my execution order without reading the second page. His white gold armor remains painfully spotless despite the blood, ash, and corpse fluid surrounding him. That feels almost offensive. Destroy that abomination, Othric says. His knights raise their blades, half point them at the colossus. The other half point them at Mara. Mara looks at the swords. Then she looks at me. She carefully hides her feather duster behind her spine. I almost smile. Almost. Which abomination? I ask. Othric's eyes narrow. The person standing beside him is Prior Elowen Voss, keeper of the 7 solar seals and the woman who controls every legal resurrection rite in the Dominion. She is beautiful in the same way a polished execution axe is beautiful, cold, expensive. Designed for one purpose. Her silver veil is torn across one cheek, exposing the burn Mara's curse leaves when Elowen tries to purify her. Elowen points at my maid. That thing is profane. Mara leans toward me. Her blue eye flame dims. I feel the question through the new soul link between us. Thing? I pat the top of her skull. Apparently. Mara turns back toward Elowen. She draws one bony finger across her scorched apron, points at the prior's blood-stained robes, and makes a painfully judgmental circle in the air. Elowen's face stiffens. I understand the gesture perfectly. Mara thinks the stain will set. The colossus convulses. Its cathedral throat releases another brutal toll. The remaining windows burst inward. 3 knights collapse as the sound tears through their protective auras. Golden light drains from every sword in the chamber. Mara's curse only locks one leg. The other 5 begin pushing the creature upright. I feel the structure of its soul through the flooded floor. 6 knots of dead instinct. 3 cores. 1 central will buried beneath layers of corrupted prayer. Complicated. Ridiculous. Useful. A system alert flashes across my vision. Hostile corpse detected. Resurrection authority insufficient. I do not know what insufficient means yet. Not exactly. My class has existed for less than 6 minutes. There is no manual. No priest waiting to explain the skill tree. No kindly mentor hiding behind a pillar. Just 30 exhausted fanatics. 4 people who want me dead. And a monster large enough to eat the chapel. I have worked with worse conditions. Mostly in the fortress kitchens. The colossus rises. Othric finally turns his blade away from Mara. Formation 7. The knights move instantly. Shield apostles lock their barriers around the creature's front legs. Sword saints leap onto its spine. Censer cavaliers throw burning chains around the bell in its throat. The maneuver is disciplined. Precise. Completely useless. I know because the knights attempt the same formation twice before they drag me into this chapel. Both attempts fail. The Colossus absorbs holy power. Every blessing makes it stronger. Turns out, building an entire civilization around a single energy type creates a fairly obvious weakness. No one here appreciates the irony. The creature sweeps one leg sideways. 5 shield apostles fly across the chapel. One hits a pillar hard enough to fold his breastplate. A sword saint loses his weapon. The Colossus catches another knight between 2 rib cages and begins crushing him. Golden blood runs down its ribs. Prior, Elowen raises both hands. Solar baptism. A column of absolute light crashes from the broken ceiling. The Colossus screams. Then the bell in its throat drinks the spell. Its dead flesh swells. A new arm bursts from its chest. I stare at Elowen. She stares at the arm. Neither of us comments. Some mistakes explain themselves. Your Holiness is feeding it, I say. Elowen's expression turns savage. Silence, grave filth. There it is. The same voice she uses in the tribunal chamber this morning. The same disgust. The same carefully rehearsed contempt. She stands above me beneath 7 floating halos while the Dominion's judges read my charges. Illegal possession of human remains. Interference with consecrated ash. Theft of a black ledger from a restricted furnace. The last accusation is technically accurate. The ledger rests beneath my coat now. Its cover is made from something that feels like leather until it moves. Elowen looks down at my chained hands and says, "Your hands are fit only for grave dirt." I remember every word. I tend to remember threats. Insults are merely threats with decoration. Another leg slams down. The flooded floor buckles. Othric's formation breaks completely. At the rear of the chapel, Quartermaster Bastion Crow tries to escape through a side door. It is locked. Mara locked it. I do not remember ordering her to do that. Interesting. Bastion controls every ration, uniform, weapon shipment, and servant contract in the western provinces. He also arranged my arrest after I discovered he has been selling consecrated lamp oil to border cults. He smiles constantly, even now. Especially now. "This is your doing," he shouts at me. I glance at the enormous undead siege monster. Then at Mara. Then at my chained wrists. "Obviously. You brought necromancy into a holy fortress. You brought a corpse into a holy fortress," I say. "I merely improved the staffing." Mara straightens proudly. Bastion's smile disappears. During the tribunal, he leans across the witness rail and tells me, "Even a dead woman would refuse to serve you." Mara now walks past him. She pauses. She examines the mud on his boots. Then she deliberately steps over it. I feel an embarrassingly warm flicker of satisfaction. The 4th person responsible for my execution stands near the chapel doors. Justiciar Malus Rook. She commands the Ash Tribunal, supervises public burnings, and has never once raised her voice. She does not need to. Her black-edged holy sword rests against my neck before the attack begins. "When the fire starts, try not to scream," she tells me. It ruins the hymns. Now Malus watches Mara with an unreadable expression. Unlike the others, she is not wasting time pretending this situation is under control. Her eyes move from the curse on the Colossus's leg to the black chains around my wrists. "You raised it," she says. I raised her. "Can you raise the larger one?" Eventually, the Colossus tears the trapped knight from its ribs and throws him across the chapel. He lands near my feet. His armor is crushed. His neck bends at an angle living necks should avoid. A golden soul begins peeling away from his body. I see it. No one else does. The soul looks like a night-shaped flame wrapped in chains of scripture. My right hand moves before I understand why. Black mist slips between my fingers. The soul jerks toward me. A system alert burns across my vision. Unclaimed soul available. Absorption permitted. I close my fist. The soul collapses into a narrow stream and enters my palm. Cold floods my veins. Not pain. Capacity. A second alert follows. One sanctified soul acquired. Grave authority increased. Mara's blue eye flame expands. The curtain cord holding her spine together tightens by itself. One crack seals. She looks down. She touches the repaired bone. Then she pats my shoulder twice. I assume that is approval. The Colossus lunges. Malus cuts my chains in a single strike. "Stop it." Othric turns on her. "Justiciar? If he fails, you may execute him afterward." "That is generous," I say. Malus looks at me. "I was not speaking to you." No one asks whether I agree. People with swords rarely develop that habit. I roll my wrists. The black ledger beneath my coat pulses. Its pages flip without wind. I see lines of silver writing form across the paper. Mara, deceased household attendant, incomplete remains, loyalty, unstable, assigned role, none. Below the words, an empty line waits. I understand the mechanism instinctively. The ledger does not merely resurrect corpses. It assigns them work. A role becomes a structure. A structure becomes power. That explains the apron, the feather duster, the furious attention to stains. Mara is not simply undead. She is a retainer. I place 2 fingers against the page. Mara, I say. New assignment. She turns toward me. Chapel maintenance. Her eye flame flares. The ledger drinks a thin line of blood from my fingertip. Silver words rewrite themselves. Role confirmed. Battlefield maid. Mara's scorched apron straightens. Black thread crawls across the fabric. The feather duster stretches into a long polearm, tipped with hundreds of steel black bone quills. The bucket hanging from her hip fills with grave mist. A system alert flashes. Retainer skill acquired. Remove stain. Ridiculous name. Mara swings. The quills slice through the holy chains wrapped around the Colossus's throat. She does not attack the bell. She cleans it. Layers of stolen blessing peel away like grease beneath a knife. Golden energy pours from the monster and spirals into her bucket. Every holy knight freezes. I feel their stolen buffs moving through the soul link. Protection, strength, heat resistance, pain suppression. Mara lifts the bucket with both hands. Then she dumps everything over me. Absolute power crashes through my body. My muscles tighten. The burns on my arms close. The chains of holy energy around the Colossus disappear completely. For the first time, the creature looks afraid. Good. Fear means the central will is awake. Awake means reachable. I step forward. Othric grabs my shoulder. What are you doing? Correcting your formation. You have no authority here. I look at his gauntlet on my coat. His fingers are shaking. Then stop me. He lets go. I walk through the flooded chapel. The Colossus rears above me. Its 6 legs hammer the floor. Its 3 rib cages open. Hundreds of half-digested corpses hang inside them, still wearing fragments of knight armor. I recognize servants, porters, laundry workers, kitchen hands. People Bastion leaves outside the fortress walls when the evacuation carts run out of room. The Colossus is not one corpse. It is an entire abandoned workforce. That feels appropriate. I raise my hand. Bone-white mist spreads from my feet. The nearest leg slows. Then the next. A system alert cuts across my vision. Innate skill awakened. Bone aura. Hostile physical attributes reduced within range. The effect is weak. Barely 5%. It is enough. Mara slides beneath the monster. She drives her duster polearm through the joint I cursed earlier. The leg snaps. The Colossus falls forward. Its bell-shaped throat crashes directly in front of me. A slit opens along the bronze surface. Inside, I see the central soul. It is not a beast. It is a woman. An elderly woman in a gray dress stands inside the bell, surrounded by thousands of bound spirits. The former head housekeeper of this fortress. Mara stops moving. Her soul link shudders. Recognition, grief, rage. So that is why she locks the doors. That is why she refuses to step in Bastion's mud. She knows exactly who abandons these people. The central spirit opens her eyes. Help us. The words do not reach my ears. They enter my bones. I press my palm against the bell. I can offer employment. The spirit stares at me. Behind her, thousands of dead servants lift their heads. The ledger beneath my coat begins flipping so violently that the pages cut through the fabric. Empty contract lines spread across every sheet. Othric shouts for me to move. Eloan begins another purification spell. Malus raises her sword. Bastion reaches for the ledger. Mara hits his hand with the flat of her duster. Hard. His fingers break with a wonderfully clean sound. He screams. Mara points at the muddy floor. Then at him. Apparently, she has standards. I push grave authority into the bell. Black cracks spread across its bronze surface. Eloan's light strikes my back. Pain tears through me. My knees bend. I remain standing. The stolen pain suppression helps. So does spite. The Colossus thrashes. Mara braces one foot against its throat and holds the bell still. I read the silver words appearing across the ledger. Mass resurrection available. Authority insufficient for permanent binding. Temporary contract possible. Required payment. One sanctified soul. I already have one. Convenient. Dangerous. Probably irreversible. Perfect. I release the soul I absorbed from the fallen knight. Golden fire flows from my palm into the black cracks. The bell splits open. Silence swallows the chapel. Then thousands of skeletal hands push through the Colossus's flesh. They do not claw at me. They tear the monster apart from the inside. The massive body collapses into heaps of dead meat, broken armor, serving trays, kitchen knives, mops, keys, and bones. One figure rises, then 10, then 50. Every last one of them wears the ruined remains of a servant's uniform. Some carry brooms, some hold cleavers. Some have shields made from oven doors. A skeletal butler adjusts his cracked collar. A headless laundress folds a blood-soaked banner into a perfect square. 3 undead cooks begin dragging the Colossus's heart toward the kitchen. Mara walks to the elderly spirit. The spirit touches her face. Then she dissolves into blue flame and enters Mara's empty eye socket. A second flame ignites. Mara now looks at me with 2 burning eyes. The ledger updates temporary retainers acquired. 187. Contract duration, 7 days. 187 undead servants turn toward me. 30 holy knights raise their weapons. I calculate the room. The knights are wounded. Their armor is cracked. Their fortress is half destroyed. Their supply wing is burning. Their cooks are dead. Their laundry hall is buried. Their latrines have not been emptied in 3 days. Bastion controls the living servants. I control the dead ones. Suddenly, my class does not look like a military problem. It looks like a labor monopoly. I turn to Othric. Your Western army marches at sunrise, correct? His face becomes stone. How do you know that? I inventory the burial shrouds. You ordered 12,000. The undead laundress beside me finishes folding the banner. Othric looks at his exhausted knights. He looks at the burning supply wing. He looks at Mara, who is already polishing blood from Melis's sword while the justiciar is still holding it. What do you want? He asks. There it is. Not mercy. Not acceptance. A negotiation. Much more reliable. I pull the black ledger from my ruined coat. 7 days of domestic service, I say. Your fortress is cleaned. Your armor is repaired. Your meals are prepared. Your wounded are carried. Your dead are catalogued properly. Eloan recoils. You expect holy knights to accept undead servants? Behind her, an undead maid silently removes a chunk of carrion colossus from the prior's veil. Eloan glances at the clean fabric. She says nothing. I open the ledger to a blank contract. In return, my execution is postponed. Postponed? Melis asks. I prefer realistic bargains. Othric's gaze remains fixed on the army of servants. What else? Access to unclaimed corpses. His hand tightens around his sword. No human remains. Then monsters. Only those killed beyond the inner walls. Agreed. Eloan steps forward. Hi, Marshal. This is heresy. Mara gently takes Eloan's staff. She wipes Colossus bile from the sunstone. The staff's golden light immediately burns brighter. Eloan stops speaking. Bastion cradles his broken hand. You cannot possibly trust him. I look at Bastion. No one asked for trust. The undead cooks reach the kitchen doors. One turns back and raises a rusted ladle. Mara raises her duster. The cooks march inside. Within seconds, I hear knives chopping. Ovens ignite. The smell of broth rolls through the ruined chapel. Several holy knights lower their swords. One does it slowly, another does it immediately. The third is already asking an undead tailor whether she can repair a ceremonial cloak. Othric watches discipline collapse under the overwhelming force of hot food and clean socks. His expression becomes absolutely murderous. Not toward me. Toward the fact that my offer is working. I place the contract on a broken altar. 7 days, I say. Othric does not move. Melis reads every line. Eloan whispers a prayer against corruption, while an undead maid brushes dust from her shoulders. Bastion tries to kick the maid away. 6 skeletal servants stare at him. He lowers his foot. Finally, Othric presses his armored thumb into the blood ink line. The ledger closes around his hand. Black light crawls over the fortress walls. Every undead servant receives the same silver mark across one wrist. A system alert flashes through my vision. First external contract established. Grave authority permanently increased. Mara turns toward me. She gives a perfect curtsy. I take the fortress master key from Othric's belt and place it in her waiting hand. Then I point toward the officers' quarters. Mara rings the housekeeping bell. 187 undead maids, cooks, porters, laundresses, and butlers march past the stunned holy knights. I follow them into the heart of the most sacred fortress in the Western Dominion. My execution fire still burns in the courtyard. I use it to heat the bathwater. The fortress becomes suspiciously clean by midnight. That is my first problem. Blood vanishes from the chapel tiles. Broken armor returns to its owners with polished edges and reinforced straps. The Western Army receives hot stew, fresh bandages, and boots that no longer smell like open graves. Apparently, disciplined holy knights can tolerate necromancy when necromancy handles laundry. I watch them discover this fact from the shadow of the supply hall. No one smiles at my retainers. No one thanks them. They simply leave increasingly impossible piles of work outside their assigned rooms and pretend the skeletal maids completing it are an unpleasant miracle. Practicality wins quickly. Fear takes longer. I intend to keep both. Mara walks beside me carrying the fortress master key, a covered lantern, and a tray containing 1 cup of tea. The tea is cold. The cup is cracked. She still places it into my hands with absolute ceremony. I take a sip. It tastes like boiled nails. Mara tilts her skull. Excellent, I say. Her twin eye flames brighten. Lying to the dead feels strangely harmless. I lead her down a narrow stairway behind the old laundry furnaces. The door at the bottom has not opened in 20 years. I know because the rust around the hinges remains unbroken, and the grave clerk before me writes a warning across the inventory map. Do not enter the lower cistern. Naturally, that makes it ideal. I fit Othric's master key into the lock. It does not turn. Mara moves me aside. She removes a hairpin from the remnants of her gray head covering, inserts it into the lock, and opens the door in 3 seconds. I look at her. She looks at the key in my hand. Then she politely takes it away. Fair enough. Cold air rolls from the darkness. The lower cistern is not a cistern anymore. Rows of cracked stone shelves fill the chamber. Small corpses lie across them beneath sheets of hardened wax. Rats, crows, kitchen cats, messenger hawks, 2 hunting dogs. Every fortress has animals touched by holy power. When they die, priests cannot burn them with ordinary refuse. The sacred ash contaminates crops. The priests store the bodies instead. Then they forget about them. The Radiant Dominion is very good at creating sacred problems and leaving servants to manage them. Mara closes the door behind us. She turns the lock. No knights. No priests. No witnesses. Just me, 1 skeleton maid, and enough dead animals to make several terrible decisions. I place the black ledger on an empty shelf. Its cover twitches beneath my hand. The book opens by itself. The first pages contain the temporary household contract. 187 names appear in silver ink. Beside every name, a narrow line shortens with each passing minute. 6 days, 16 hours, 41 minutes remaining. So, the duration is exact. That is useful. Below the contract sits a new section. Grave authority, 12 measures. Retainer capacity, 3 permanent bonds. Temporary contract capacity, 200 lesser bonds. Stored souls, none. Available corpses, unregistered. I read the numbers twice. Then a third time, 12 measures. The sanctified knight's soul does not remain in storage because I spend it opening the mass contract. The contract with Othric gives me authority instead. Not moral authority. Not legal authority. Something closer to system-recognized jurisdiction. The ledger accepts that Othric controls the fortress. Othric signs control of its domestic labor to me. The system converts that borrowed right into 12 measures of grave authority. A territory contract creates power. Interesting. Bribery is apparently a branch of necromancy. I turn to the first dead rat. It is small. Half its fur is missing. A faded seal has been burned into its spine. I place 2 fingers against its skull. A system alert slips across my vision. Consecrated vermin corpse. Structural integrity, 31%. Residual instinct present. 3 new lines appear beneath it. Raise as feral undead, 1 measure. Raise as assigned retainer, 2 measures. Extract residual soul. Possible yield below 1 measure. There it is. The machine beneath the miracle. A corpse is the frame. A soul is the motion. A roll is the restriction. Feral resurrection costs less because the creature rises on dead instinct. It attacks, hunts, and follows simple commands. An assigned retainer costs more because the ledger forces those instincts into a defined duty. The role limits behavior. The limitation creates a specialized skill. Mara is stronger while cleaning because Battlefield Maid narrows every action into maintenance. Blood becomes a stain. Enemy buffs become contamination. A weapon becomes a tool. The system rewards obedience to a role with power. That is completely absurd. It is also exactly the kind of absurdity I can exploit. I select Feral Resurrection. One black measure drains from the number on the page. The rat jerks. Its spine bends backward. Its empty eyes fill with gray light. It rolls from the shelf and lands on 4 stiff legs. A system alert follows Grave Rat raised. Bond type. Feral. Command range. 30 feet. I step back. The rat remains still. Walk. It walks. Stop. It stops. Climb the wall. It scratches uselessly against the stone. No interpretation. No problem solving. No initiative. The bond carries commands as impulses, but the rat only uses abilities its body already understands. I point at a crack beneath the lowest shelf. Enter. Search. Return. The rat crawls into the opening. For 13 seconds, I feel nothing but a weak directional pull. Then the connection stretches. At 27 feet, the pull becomes thin. At 30 feet, it snaps. The rat stops obeying. I still sense it. Barely. It does not return. I wait. Mara waits beside me. 1 minute passes. Then 2. A faint scratching comes from inside the wall. I kneel near the crack. Return. Nothing happens. Mara taps the ledger. The command range remains 30 feet. She taps the wall. Then she draws a neat square in the dust around me. Territory? I ask. She nods. Or perhaps her skull simply falls forward. The curtain cord no longer holds her vertebrae together. A narrow strip of black silver now runs through the repaired cracks. That change did not exist before the fortress contract. I file it away. I place my palm against the floor. Bone aura spreads in a pale circle. The skill reaches 14 feet before fading. The rat's connection does not change. Not territory, I say. Mara wipes away the square. No embarrassment. No apology. She simply draws a chain. The rat is not free because it crosses 30 feet. It is merely without commands. The bond remains. I pull on it. The creature freezes somewhere inside the wall. Then it begins moving toward me. Slowly. A recall command works beyond the normal range. Specific instructions do not. That distinction matters. The rat crawls from the crack, carrying a copper button in its teeth. Mara takes the button. She polishes it on her apron. I ignore that. The ledger now lists the rat beneath my permanent bonds. 1 of 3 spaces is occupied. I frown. 1 rat takes an entire bond. Mara places the button on the tray beside my terrible tea. Yes, I say. Wasteful. The rat's gray eyes dim. I sever the bond. Its body collapses instantly. The grave authority does not return. 11 measures remain. So resurrection costs are consumed, not reserved. Another useful problem. I touch the corpse again. A system alert appears. Previously raised remains. Soul residue depleted. Resurrection efficiency reduced. The new cost is 2 measures. Death leaves wear. Repeated resurrection becomes increasingly expensive. There goes the obvious plan of using the same disposable army forever. Honestly, I am almost disappointed. I move to a dead crow. Its wings remain intact. A small silver capsule is tied to 1 leg. Messenger bird. I choose assigned retainer. The ledger asks for a roll. I think of the fortress above us. I think of Othric's officers carrying sealed orders between towers. I think of Bastion sending supply records beyond the walls. Courier. I say. 2 measures disappear. The crow's eyes ignite blue. Its feathers flatten. The silver capsule repairs itself. A system alert flashes. Retainer raised. Grave courier. Roll skill acquired. Unerring route. The crow hops onto my wrist. I carry it to the far end of the chamber. Take this to the ledger. I place the polished button inside its capsule. The crow launches. It flies directly to the book. Simple. I move the ledger behind a pillar. The crow circles once, adjusts, and lands beside it. I cover the ledger with a burial sheet. The crow still finds it. I carry the book into the corridor outside, return, and close the door. Deliver. The crow flies toward the locked door. It strikes the wood. Once, twice. Then it grips the hairpin Mara leaves in the lock, pulls it free, and drops it at her feet. Mara's flames narrow. The crow looks at her. She looks at the crow. A silent professional dispute begins. I retrieve the ledger. The result is clear. A roll does more than grant physical ability. It forces the retainer to solve problems related to its duty. The feral rat cannot interpret search beyond instinct. The courier understands destination, obstruction, and delivery. Two measures purchase a narrow form of intelligence. I examine the crow's entry. Permanent bond occupied. 1. Authority cost. 2. Operational range. 1 mile while carrying an assigned delivery. Outside assigned duty. 40 feet. That is the mechanism. Rolls expand command range only while the retainer performs its work. Mara can move throughout the fortress because the entire fortress falls under chapel maintenance and domestic service. The contract does not merely make her stronger. It defines where she is allowed to exist. I look at the black ledger. The book looks back. Not literally. Probably. I select a second corpse. A kitchen cat lies beneath a wax sheet with its paws folded over its chest. One ear is missing. Its holy seal marks it as a vermin hunter. Pest control attendant. I say. 2 more measures vanish. The cat rises silently. Black thread stitches its missing ear into a pointed shape. Its claws lengthen into thin bone needles. A system alert confirms its roll skill remove infestation. I release the feral rat at the far end of the chamber. The cat turns. It does not chase. Instead, it looks at me, waiting. Remove the infestation. The cat disappears. Not quickly. Completely. Its body slips into the shadow beneath the shelves. The rat squeals once. The cat returns carrying the intact corpse by the neck. No damage beyond a single puncture through the spine. Mara crouches. The cat drops the rat at her feet. She pats its skull. The cat arches proudly. Then Mara notices dust on its paws. Her eye flames sharpen. The cat immediately begins cleaning itself. I stare at both of them. Some hierarchies form naturally. The cat's entry contains another detail. Efficiency bonus. 10% while supervised by a senior domestic retainer. Senior domestic retainer. I look at Mara. The silver repairs along her spine have spread another inch. A faint emblem now glows beneath the scorched fabric over her sternum. A ring of keys surrounding a blue flame. The head housekeeper's spirit inside her is changing the role. Not an evolution. Not yet. But the ledger recognizes hierarchy among retainers. A senior worker strengthens juniors operating beneath the same contract. One maid is useful. A structured household is an army. I begin testing faster. A second crow raised without a roll costs 1 measure. It obeys basic flight commands but becomes lost behind a single pillar. A rat assigned as cellar inspector costs 2 measures and identifies 3 cracks, 1 water leak, and a hidden compartment beneath the floor. It cannot fight. When the pest control cat attacks it, the inspector merely points at the cat as an unauthorized hazard. Mara intervenes before the experiment becomes expensive. A messenger hawk costs 3 measures because its corpse retains stronger instincts. Assigned as an aerial porter, it lifts exactly 22 pounds. At 23, its wing joints lock. The ledger calculates duties literally. The wording matters. Very literally. I spend another measure testing soul extraction on a small hunting dog. Black mist leaves the corpse and enters my palm. Stored soul residue. 3 fragments. The body becomes unusable. 10 fragments equal 1 lesser soul. 10 lesser souls can be compressed into 1 grave measure. So a weak animal yields less than 1/3 of a lesser soul. I would need roughly 34 similar corpses to recover 1 measure. Resurrection consumes entire measures. Extraction from ordinary animals cannot sustain an army. Monsters might. Holy knights certainly will. I do not dwell on that. Not because it disturbs me. Because the calculation is premature. After an hour, the ledger shows 2 measures remaining. My permanent bonds contain Mara, the grave courier, and the pest control cat. 3 of 3. The temporary servants upstairs do not consume permanent capacity because Othric's contract holds them. Without that signature, 187 retainers would be impossible. My personal power is small. My contractual power is massive. That difference is not a weakness. It is a direction. I close the ledger. The raised crow settles on my shoulder. The cat curls around Mara's feet. Mara places the cold tea back on the tray. Then she reaches into the hidden compartment discovered by the cellar inspector. She removes a narrow iron box. No lock, no seal. Only a sentence carved into the lid. For the last servant standing. Mara's twin flames stop moving. I feel her recognition through the soul link. Not memory exactly. Pressure. A room full of screaming workers. Bastion locking an evacuation gate. The elderly head housekeeper hiding something beneath the floor before the carrion colossus consumes her. Mara opens the box. Inside rests a silver bell no larger than my thumb. It has no clapper. The ledger opens by itself. A system alert burns across both pages. Compatible household relic. Detected. Evolution condition partially fulfilled. Mara touches the bell. The black-silver line inside her spine flashes. Every temporary servant in the fortress stops moving. I feel all 187 of them turn toward the chamber above us. For 1 second, the soul link expands. I see through hundreds of dead eyes. I see Othric asleep at his desk. Elowen kneeling before a sun altar. Malus inspecting the execution courtyard. Bastion slipping a sealed message into the beak of a living messenger hawk. Then the vision collapses. Mara drops the bell. The fortress servants resume their work. The ledger's alert changes: command network unavailable, authority threshold unknown. Unknown. Not 20 measures. Not 100. Not even a hint. The system itself either cannot calculate the requirement or refuses to reveal it. I dislike both possibilities. Mara reaches for the bell again. I close my hand around her wrist. Not yet. She looks at me. The elderly blue flame in her right socket burns hotter than the flame in her left. Anger passes through the bond. Not at me. At the image of Bastion's message leaving the fortress. I understand. We have 6 days remaining on the contract. Bastion is already calling for help. I place the silent bell inside my coat. Then I order the grave courier onto my wrist. Follow the living hawk, I say. Do not intercept it. Record its destination. Return unseen. The courier's blue eyes brighten. Its roll entry expands. Unerring route recognizes the assignment. Operational range increases from 1 mile to 12. The crow flies through a ventilation shaft and disappears into the night. Mara watches it leave. Her new sternum emblem pulses once. A small silver word appears beside her name in the ledger. Supervisor. I look toward the ceiling. Above us, the western fortress sleeps beneath the care of my dead. For 7 days, the holy knights think they are renting maids. They are actually teaching my class how power works. I pick up the ledger and extinguish the lantern. Then Mara, the cat, and I climb toward the light before anyone notices the graves beneath their clean floors are no longer empty. The grave courier returns before sunrise with someone else's seal stuck in its beak. It lands on my windowsill. Black rain slides from its feathers. A narrow strip of parchment hangs from the silver capsule tied to its leg. Mara closes the curtains before I touch it. Smart. The western fortress wakes early, but spies wake earlier. I remove the message. Bastion's original letter is gone. The reply remains. Deliver the black ledger before the 7th bell. The cleansing caravan arrives in 5 days. Once the control relic is secured, every corpse in the fortress becomes property of the Crow Provisionary Office. There is no signature. There does not need to be. The wax seal shows a golden wagon passing over a kneeling man. House Crow. Bastion does not merely want me executed. He wants my class inventoried. That is almost flattering. Mara reads over my shoulder. Her right eye flame turns savage. The elderly housekeeper inside her remembers that seal. I feel locked gates. Overloaded evacuation carts. Living servants thrown aside to preserve crates of silver tableware. Bastion calls it supply prioritization. The dead call it something less polite. Mara reaches for the parchment. I move it away. Not yet. Her fingers close around empty air. We let him think he is winning. She points toward the execution courtyard. Then she draws one finger across her throat. Yes, I say. Eventually. That answer satisfies her. Barely. I burn the reply over the candle. Mara catches every fragment of ash on a small silver plate. She does not waste evidence. Neither do I. By breakfast, the fortress smells of clean linen, boiled grain, and suppressed theological panic. The holy knights eat beside skeletal cooks. They refuse to look directly at them. They still hold out their bowls for seconds. One sword saint even complains that his porridge needs salt. The undead cook stares at him for 6 silent seconds. He apologizes. Progress comes in strange forms. I cross the dining hall carrying a burial inventory. No one stops me. Yesterday, I am a condemned clerk. Today, I am the man responsible for the only competent workforce in the Western Army. My social position has not improved. It has become inconvenient to define. That is better. Othric stands at the officer's table. His armor is repaired. His cloak is spotless. His expression remains brutal. We march in 4 days, he says. I do not ask why the schedule changes. The courier's message already tells me. The cleansing caravan needs the fortress partially empty. Othric wants his army outside before Bastion makes his move. Perhaps he knows. Perhaps he merely smells treachery. Either way, I nod. Then the outer corpse fields must be cleared before departure. His spoon stops halfway to his mouth. The monsters beyond the walls? They attract carrion beasts. The burial crews cannot finish in 4 days. I look toward the burial crews cannot finish in 4 days. Undead servants, distributing bread. That sounds like a living person problem. Several knights pretend not to hear. Othric lowers his spoon. You may use the unclaimed monster remains beyond the inner wall. Exactly the wording I need. Malus watches me from the next table. She misses nothing. What will you do with them? She asks. Sanitation. That is not an answer. It is the answer written into the contract. Her eyes narrow. The ledger beneath my coat warms. Othric's permission becomes a temporary amendment. External remains approved for fortress maintenance. The system recognizes it. A line of black text flashes across my vision. Disposal jurisdiction expanded. Temporary contract boundary extended to the outer corpse fields. Authority is not about ownership. It is about accepted responsibility. The Holy Knights do not need to give me corpses. They only need to agree that the corpses are my problem. Talk about a terrifyingly simple legal system. I bow my head. Work begins immediately. Othric points his spoon at me. No human remains. I heard you the first time. I know your kind. No, I say. You know exactly one of my kind. The dining hall becomes silent. Mara appears beside me with a fresh cup of tea. She places it in my hand. I drink. It still tastes terrible. I walk away before Othric finds a response. The outer corpse fields stretch across 3 muddy valleys beneath the fortress walls. Holy Knights kill thousands of plague beasts here every season. They burn the dangerous bodies. They abandon the rest. By noon, the ground looks like a butcher's floor left beneath open rain. Plague hounds rot in tangled piles. Ash boars lie split beneath broken spears. Corpse crows cover the dead so thickly that the earth seems feathered. 13 skeletal porters follow me through the western gate. They push carts. They wear servant uniforms beneath scavenged breastplates. The guards recoil. The porters present stamped sanitation orders. The guards read them twice. Then they open the gate. Paper defeats faith with embarrassing consistency. Mara leads the column. The silver bell rests inside my coat. The relic has no clapper, but it vibrates whenever she gives an order through the soul link. The other servants react instantly. No hesitation. No confusion. The bell is a command focus. It does not create authority. It organizes it. That distinction will matter later. For now, I test it. Mara points toward the northern corpse mound. 5 porters separate from the group. She points toward a ditch filled with dead crows. 3 more move. The remaining servants wait without blocking the road. Yesterday, she commands only through gestures. Today, the household responds before the gesture finishes. The ledger records the change. Mara, battlefield maid. Auxiliary designation, junior housekeeper. Command limit, 12 lesser retainers. First upgrade confirmed. Her feather duster polearm changes with the designation. A silver hook grows beneath the bone quills. A ring of small keys forms around the shaft. Each key bears the mark of one servant role. Cook, porter, laundress, attendant. When Mara twists a key, the matching workers move faster. Not stronger, more coordinated. A household is apparently a formation. I approve. The first plague hound contains enough soul residue to fill 1 complete lesser soul. I extract it behind an overturned cart. Black mist enters my palm. The corpse collapses into gray tissue. 10 lesser souls produce 1 grave measure. That ratio remains unchanged. The ash boars are different. Each contains between 6 and 9 lesser souls. Their organs burn with residual holy poison, but their bones remain dense. Corpse crows contain almost nothing. 3 birds produce 1 fragment. I stop harvesting them after the 20th. Time is also a resource. The servants separate flesh from bone. Undead cooks render fat into lamp fuel. Laundresses wash corrupted blood from hides. Porters stack ribs by length. Mara inspects every cart. Nothing is wasted. The holy knights on the walls watch us work. They see sanitation. They see smoke. They see obedient corpses removing dangerous remains from military roads. They do not see the old plague furnace beneath the abandoned laundry house. That entrance stays buried behind 3 collapsed walls. Mara clears it after sunset. The furnace chamber is massive. 4 iron mouths line one wall. Ash canals run beneath the floor. Rust-covered rails disappear into tunnels under the fortress. 20 years ago, the Dominion burns plague victims here. Then the priests decide the place is spiritually contaminated. They seal it. Naturally, they leave all the equipment intact. I call it efficient neglect. For 3 nights, carts enter through the ruined laundry yard. For 3 nights, empty carts leave through the western gate. The guards count wheels. They do not count weight. Inside the hidden furnace, my workforce grows. I harvest 73 plague hounds. I harvest 9 ash boars. I harvest 1 horned marsh predator whose soul nearly tears free from my grip. The total reaches 112 lesser souls. I compress 110. 11 grave measures enter the ledger. The remaining 2 stay in storage. My authority rises from 2 measures to 13. Then the fortress contract produces another increase. Every cleared road adds recognized value to the sanitation amendment. 3 measures arrive after the northern valley is declared usable. 2 more arrive when Othric's cavalry crosses the western field without losing a horse. 1 arrives when Alohan's priests certify the plague level as reduced. By the 3rd night, I hold 19 grave measures. Not enough for an army. Enough for infrastructure. I spend 4 measures reinforcing Mara's bones. Black silver fills the fractures along her arms, ribs, and spine. Her structure rises from 38% integrity to 71. I spend 3 measures on her weapon. The feather duster polearm gains a 2nd roll skill, order the room. She tests it on a pile of unsorted bones. 1 strike hits the floor. Every bone lifts. Ribs stack with ribs. Skulls turn forward. Long bones aligned by size. The skill does not animate them. It imposes arrangement. That sounds harmless. It is not. Mara swings again. The sorted bones assemble around a plague hound skeleton. Extra ribs lock over its spine. Boar tusks brace its jaw. Crow bones form hooked claws around its paws. The result stands twice as large as the original beast. I bind it with 3 measures. The ledger rejects warhound. Too broad. It rejects guard beast. Insufficient contractual relevance. I look at the furnace doors. Furnace watchdog. The roll takes hold. Blue fire ignites inside the creature's chest. A system alert crosses my vision. Temporary retainer created under sanitation contract. Roll skill acquired. Incinerate contamination. The hound exhales. Black flame rolls across a pile of infected flesh. The corruption burns away. The bones remain untouched. Useful. I build 12 more. Each costs 1 measure after Mara organizes the components. Her supervision reduces the binding expense. Without her, the cost would be closer to 2. The final count reaches 13 furnace watchdogs. That fills every remaining slot in the 200 retainer contract. 187 servants. 13 bone beasts. 200 temporary bonds. The ledger closes the capacity line. I have no space left. So I prepare bodies without raising them. By the 4th night, 364 clean skeleton frames hang inside the ash tunnels. Plague hound skulls fill 6 iron bins. Boar ribs form armor plates. 14 monster cores sit inside salt jars. None are alive. None consume authority. They are ammunition, waiting for a command structure. I do not have that structure yet. The silver bell might provide it. The system refuses to show the threshold. I refuse to guess. Instead, I build a lie. The bait begins with 1 blank page. I assign a dead records clerk to temporary archival duty. His skeleton already serves among the 187 household retainers, so the new assignment does not create another bond. It narrows his role. His fingers sharpen into black quills. I place Bastion's burned reply ash on the desk. I place a drop of my blood beside it. Then I tear a thin strip from the ledger's inner cover. The book resists. The cover bites my thumb. I tear harder. A piece comes free. The records clerk grinds the black material into ink. He writes a false instruction across old plague parchment. Household command is anchored to the relic bell. Removal beyond the contracted boundary causes immediate retainer paralysis. The bearer who claims the bell after the necromancer's death inherits temporary command. A simple forgery would fail. Bastion has priests. He has appraisers. He has people whose entire class exists to identify fraudulent documents. So I make the lie partly true. I press the silver bell against the parchment. I feed one grave measure into it. The relic's authority stain seeps into the fibers. Now the page reacts like a genuine system object. Not completely. Enough. Mara tests the next stage. She stands in the center of the furnace chamber. All 13 watchdogs face her. 30 servants pause along the walls. I tie a thread of grave authority between the bell and the ledger. Then I carry the bell through the outer tunnel. At 20 feet, Mara drops to one knee. At 30, the servants freeze. At 40, every watchdog collapses into loose bones. The effect is not automatic. I create it. The thread carries a sever command when stretched beyond the prepared distance. I return. Mara rises. The servants resume moving. The watchdogs rebuild themselves under order the room. We repeat the performance 4 times. The timing becomes exact. The collapse looks violent. The recovery looks accidental. Most importantly, it leaves residue. A priest examining the floor will find broken command traces. A relic appraiser will detect authority concentrated around the bell. Every piece of evidence supports the wrong conclusion. Mara watches me place the forged page inside a narrow iron document case. She taps the sentence about my death. Then she points her polearm at me. I know. She taps it again. Yes, I dislike that part too. Her eye flames sharpen. It needs to be attractive. She points toward the furnace. 2 servants drag a training dummy beneath the central hook. Mara decapitates it. The head crosses the room. Apparently, she wants her objection recorded. Noted. I take the iron case upstairs. I do not hide it in Bastion's quarters. That would be too easy. I place it inside the old furnace registry. Then I carry the registry through the accounting hall while Bastion's assistant watches. I stumble once. The iron case slides halfway from the pages. I catch it. I look toward the assistant. He looks away too late. Good. That night, I order Mara to deliver 3 sealed cleaning reports to Bastion's office. The reports contain ordinary numbers. They also contain ash from the hidden furnace. The scent matches the forged parchment. Then I dismiss every undead servant from the western corridor for exactly 7 minutes. Bastion's assistant enters the records room during the 4th. He finds the registry unlocked. He finds muddy prints leading to the cabinet. He finds scratches around the false compartment. He finds the iron case beneath 2 genuine plague reports. Nothing looks presented. Everything looks discovered. I watch through the grave courier's eyes from the tower roof. The assistant opens the case. The authority stain flashes black. His face drains of color. He reads the page twice. Then he copies every word. He returns the case to the exact position. Almost exact. The left corner sits 1 inch higher. Mara will hate that. The assistant leaves. I recall the servants. They resume work without acknowledging him. By dawn, Bastion walks differently. He keeps his broken hand beneath his cloak. He watches Mara's waist whenever she passes. The silver bell remains hidden beneath her apron. He cannot see it. That makes him want it more. In the chapel, he stops beside me. My condolences, he says. For what? Your situation. I have hot food, legal protection, and more staff than the High Marshal. His smile twitches. Temporary advantages often create permanent misunderstandings. During the tribunal, he says even a dead woman would refuse to serve me. Now he watches 6 dead women polish the chapel silver. I let my eyes drift toward the western windows. The gesture is small, deliberate. He follows it. Beyond the glass, a black wagon appears on the distant road. The cleansing caravan arrives 1 day early. That is not in his message. Bastion's smile becomes real. He thinks his rescue has come. I think of the 364 skeleton frames hanging beneath the laundry house. I think of the 13 watchdogs sleeping beside the furnace. I think of the forged page inside the registry. Then I feel Mara's silent bell vibrate through the soul link. 1 ring. Every hidden worker stops. 2 rings. They erase the tracks leading underground. 3 rings. The furnace doors close. By the time the black wagon reaches the fortress, Nothing remains above ground except clean roads, obedient maids, and one condemned necromancer carrying a ledger everyone believes they understand. I step aside as the gates open. The first cleansing priest enters with chains designed for my wrists. Mara bows to him. Then she quietly locks the gate behind his caravan. The cleansing priest smiles when Mara locks the gate. He thinks she is trapping herself inside. That misunderstanding lasts exactly 12 seconds. The person standing beneath the caravan's golden canopy is Canon Brannick Vale, senior examiner of forbidden classes and House Crow's favorite solution to inconvenient witnesses. I recognize him from execution records. 31 necromancers never exist before me, but the Dominion uses the term for anyone whose holy class develops the wrong color. Blood healers, shadow confessors, grave listeners. Brannick burns every last one of them. He wears no armor. He does not need it. 7 floating censers circle his body, each pouring white fire into a rotating halo behind his head. 40 cleansing knights march around him. Their shields are covered in scripture. Their spears end in crystal sunbursts. Behind them, 6 black wagons carry iron cages, ash barrels, and enough blessed chain to bind a giant. They come prepared for one frightened grave clerk. They find 200 undead employees waiting in perfect rows. Brannick studies Mara. Mara studies the mud dripping from his boots. I already know which one of them is more offended. By order of the Crow Provisionary Office, Brannick announces, all necromantic relics, animated corpses, contaminated documents, and associated persons are now subject to immediate purification. Othric steps onto the chapel stairs. His officers form behind him. This fortress is under military jurisdiction. Brannick does not look at him. Your jurisdiction ends where heresy begins. That would be a dangerous law for a priest standing inside my walls. The cleansing knights lower their spears. Othric's soldiers reach for their swords. 2 holy forces face each other across a courtyard filled with undead maids carrying breakfast trays. No one wants to move first. Bastion solves the problem. He walks from the accounting wing with his broken hand wrapped in white silk. Hi, Marshal. There is no need for conflict. His voice carries just enough concern to sound reasonable. That is his favorite kind of lie. The caravan is here to secure a dangerous relic. Once the object is removed, the servants will collapse harmlessly. Mara's fingers close around the silver bell beneath her apron, exactly as rehearsed. Brannick notices. So does Bastion. Good. Othric turns toward me. His expression hardens. Is that true? Partly. The entire courtyard goes silent. Bastion almost smiles. I continue. If someone tears out the wrong component without understanding the contract, the servants may collapse. May? Othric asks. Or become uncontrolled. That part is false. Probably. The system does not reveal what happens if Mara dies while holding the relic. I prefer not to test it. Brannick finally looks at me. His eyes are colorless. You admit the relic controls them. I admit you heard a noun and became excited. One of the cleansing knights steps forward. Brannick lifts 2 fingers. The knight stops. The canon's expression remains calm. Hand over the bell and ledger. No. Then the contract protecting you is void. Othric's hand closes around his sword. My thumb is still on that contract. Military consent cannot legalize blasphemy. Neither can priestly greed. That surprises everyone. Especially Bastion. Othric knows more than I expect. Not enough to trust me. Enough to dislike House Crow. Useful. Brannick raises one hand. The 7 sensors accelerate. White fire forms a circle over the courtyard. A system alert flashes across my vision. Hostile purification field detected. Temporary undead contracts destabilizing. Every servant freezes. A laundress drops a folded cloak. A cook's ladle hits the stones. The furnace watchdogs beneath the laundry house begin collapsing one by one. My ledger burns against my ribs. Brannick smiles. Observe. The purification field expands. Cracks race across Mara's black-silver spine. Her left eye flame goes dark. 187 servant bonds begin disappearing from the ledger. Not broken. Erased. This is worse than damage. Brannick's class is designed to strip system recognition from corrupted contracts. He is not destroying my undead. He is making the world forget that they belong to me. Pain drives through the soul link. I drop to one knee. The cleansing knights advance. There is the first stage. Receive the blow. Let them see me bend. Let them believe the field works perfectly. Bastion steps closer. You should have accepted your sentence. I look at the stones. My hands shake. Not entirely as an act. The ledger loses 14 names. Then 9 more. A skeletal porter collapses into loose bones. A maid's apron falls around an empty frame. The fortress soldiers recoil. Othric draws his sword. Brannick's knights immediately surround him. "Stand down," Brannick says. The contamination is ending. Mara remains upright. Barely. She plants the base of her polearm against the ground. Another crack opens across her sternum. Her remaining eye flame narrows to a blue spark. I feel her trying to issue orders. The servants cannot hear her. The silver bell vibrates without sound. Brannick walks toward us. His white robes do not touch the mud. "Your mistake," he says, "is believing death can be organized." I say nothing. He mistakes silence for defeat. Most arrogant people do. The field pulses every 4 seconds. 7 sensors rotate clockwise. Each releases fire when it reaches the highest point of the halo. The energy travels through the scripture carved into the courtyard, not the air. The stones. I notice because the servants standing on wooden serving platforms decay more slowly. The cook beside the fountain loses both arms. The maid on the chapel steps only loses 3 fingers. The purification field uses the fortress's consecrated floor as a transmission grid. Brannick does not generate enough power to erase 200 bonds directly. He borrows the fortress blessing. That creates a second weakness. The field recognizes corruption through ownership marks. Every servant bears my silver wrist seal. The fire strikes the seal first. No seal, no target. Removing 200 seals individually is impossible. Changing what the seals mean is not. I press my bleeding palm against the courtyard. Bone aura spreads beneath the stones. The pale mist lasts less than a second before the purification field burns it away. Brannick laughs softly. A grave trick. I ignore him. The aura touches 23 servants. It carries sensation back through their bones. The field does not destroy everything evenly. Domestic roles resist longer inside assigned work areas. Mara lasts longest because the entire fortress is her workplace. The cook near the fountain decays quickly because he stands outside the kitchen. The maid on the chapel steps remains partly protected because she is cleaning. Roles. Always roles. The system rewards purpose. Brannick attacks ownership. I do not need to defend ownership. I need to change purpose. The second stage ends. I understand the enemy. Now I need time. I look up at Mara. Emergency assignment. Her eye flame flickers. The ledger opens inside my coat without my hand touching it. Pages tear loose and whip into the air. Brannick stops walking. Silver words form across the exposed sheet. Fortress condition. Hostile contamination event. Available response. Reassignment of contracted labor. Required authority. 16 measures. I have none. I spend everything below ground. Then Othric's contract pulses. A new line appears. Emergency military requisition available through recognized fortress commander. I turn toward him. He stands inside a ring of cleansing knights. "High Marshal," I call. He cuts one spear in half. "What?" Declare the courtyard contaminated. Brannick's face changes. "Only slightly. Enough." Othric sees it. "Why?" "Because he does not want you to." Brannick raises both hands. "Silence him." 6 cleansing knights charge me. Othric roars across the courtyard. I declare the entire east courtyard a hostile contamination zone under Western military law. The ledger drinks the words. 16 black measures appear. Borrowed authority. Temporary. More than enough. The third stage begins. I open my hand. Every servant present receives emergency sanitation duty. The wrist seals change. Silver circles become black keys. Brannick's purification fire strikes again. Nothing happens. His smile disappears. The servants are no longer registered as undead labor under my personal ownership. For the duration of Othric's declaration, they are a fortress response unit removing contamination. The purification field identifies them as authorized cleaners. Brannock's spell becomes the contaminant. Talk about an absolutely brutal administrative mistake. Mara's left eye reignites. Every cracked bone in her spine locks into place. The silver bell rings once. This time, the entire fortress hears it. 164 remaining servants turn toward the cleansing knights. The missing 36 do not rise. Their bonds are gone. I feel every empty space. I remember it. Then I give the order. Clean the courtyard. The undead move. Not like soldiers. like workers late for an inspection. Laundresses throw black sheets over the scripture lines, breaking the field's transmission path. Porters overturn the cleansing wagons and stack them into barricades. Cooks hurl boiling broth into helmet visors. Tailors launch measuring cords around sword wrists and pull knights from formation. A skeletal chimney sweep climbs Brannick's halo with 2 brushes and begins stuffing soot into the censers. The cleansing knights panic. No battle doctrine prepares a man for hostile housekeeping. One spear reaches me. I twist aside. The crystal sunburst cuts through my shoulder. Pain flashes white. The knight drives forward. I let him. His spear enters deeper. He smiles. I grip the shaft. Bone aura erupts through the weapon. This time, I do not spread it in a circle. I compress it. A narrow pulse travels from my hand into his arms. His strength drops. His fingers loosen. I tear the spear free and drive the blunt end into his throat. He falls. The skill alert burns across my vision. Bone aura compression, successful. Localized attribute theft detected. Not reduction, theft. For 3 seconds, the strength leaving his body enters mine. That is new. I feel the mechanism. The aura does not merely weaken living tissue. It convinces nearby bones to obey a lower standard. Compressed through direct contact, the command crosses into my own skeleton. His loss becomes my gain. 3 seconds. 1 target. A tiny effect. I file it away. This skill will become monstrous if I can expand the transfer. Brannick tears the chimney sweep from his halo. White fire explodes outward. 20 servants disintegrate. Their souls do not reach me. The field burns them clean. Mara staggers as the command network shakes. The cannon points at her. Break the relic. 4 cleansing knights charge. Mara rotates the key ring on her polearm. The porter key clicks. 6 skeletal porters slam carts together, forming a wall. The knights shatter it. The cook key turns. 3 undead cooks throw clouds of black flour into the air. Holy sight fails. The laundress key turns. Wet sheets snap around armored legs. The knights cut through. Mara is coordinating well. They are still stronger. One knight reaches her. His spear pierces her abdomen and exits through her spine. The silver repairs crack. Her body lifts from the ground. Bastion steps from behind the formation. He grabs the bell beneath her apron. Mara's flames flare. He pulls. The relic tears free. Every servant stops. Bastion holds the bell overhead. I have it. The courtyard falls silent. The forged page works perfectly. Brannick looks at the bell. Then at me. Victory returns to his face. Order them to kneel, he tells Bastion. Bastion grips the relic. Kneel. Nothing happens. He shakes it. The bell has no clapper. No sound comes. His smile weakens. Obey me. Mara's skull turns toward him while the spear remains through her body. Slowly, painfully. Her right eye flame becomes enormous. The elderly housekeeper inside her recognizes the man who locks the evacuation gate. Bastion takes 1 step back. I almost pity him. Almost. The relic does not control the servants. Mara does. The bell merely helps her organize commands. The forged page says the bearer inherits authority after my death. I am still alive. Details matter. I close my hand. Every servant moves again. Bastion's face collapses. Mara grips the spear through her abdomen. She pulls herself down its length. The cleansing knight tries to release it. Too late. She reaches him. Her forehead slams into his visor. Metal caves inward. Then she tears the spear from her spine and turns toward Bastion. He holds out the bell. Stay back. She keeps walking. Brannick launches a blade of white fire. I step between them. The spell strikes my chest. My stolen strength disappears. My coat ignites. I hit the ground. Mara stops. No, I say. The word comes out through blood. Her skull turns. Finish the actual problem. She looks at Brannick. Good. Bastion is bait. Brannick is the blade. Mara twists every key on her polearm at once. The silver bell in Bastion's hand rings without a clapper. All remaining servants perform one synchronized action. They pull. Every sheet, cord, chain, strap, apron tie, wagon rope, and burial cloth in the courtyard snaps tight around Brannick's 7 sensors. The halo stops rotating. The purification field flickers. Brannick raises both hands. Too slow. Mara runs. The spear wound splits wider with every step. Her apron burns. Her polearm changes in her grip. Bone quills flatten into a massive black brush. The system names the attack through our soul link remove stain. Deep clean. Ridiculous. Perfect. Brannick releases all 7 sensors at once. White fire becomes a wall. Mara jumps through it. Her left arm burns away. Half her ribs turn black. She does not slow down. The brush strikes Brannick's halo. Instead of breaking the blessing, it strips away every stolen charge feeding it. The golden light pours into Mara's bucket. The halo goes dark. Brannick stands unprotected. Mara spins the polearm. The silver hook catches beneath his jaw. She pulls him forward. Then she drives the blunt base of the weapon through the center of his chest. The sound is small. His expression is not. Mara lifts him from the stones. His feet kick once. She slams him into the mud. Brannick refuses to step in. The finishing blow belongs entirely to her. As it should. The cleansing knights stop fighting. Othric's soldiers surround them. Malus appears at the chapel entrance with her black-edged sword already wet. I do not ask whose blood covers it. Bastion drops the silver bell. Mara catches it before it touches the ground. Naturally, Brannock's soul rises from his body. It is massive. 7 white chains wrap around a black core. I crawl toward him. The cannon sees me. For the first time, terror reaches his face. No. I place my hand over his chest. You erase forbidden classes. His soul struggles. You call that cleansing. The bone aura tightens around the spirit. Every dead servant in the courtyard turns toward us. I call it waste. I absorb him. The soul enters me like a burning cathedral. My vision goes white. The ledger opens. Stored soul acquired. 1 high sanctified soul. Grave authority increased by 48 measures. Retainer capacity expanded. Permanent bonds. 7. Temporary contract capacity. 300. Purification resistance unlocked for all retainers under active household hierarchy. The surviving servants change. Black-silver lines spread through cracked bones. Aprons repair themselves. Tools sharpen. The 13 furnace watchdogs rebuild beneath the laundry house without being summoned. Mara falls to one knee. Her missing arm remains gone. The wound in her spine closes around a new silver column. The emblem on her sternum expands. Junior housekeeper becomes housekeeper. Command limit rises from 12 lesser retainers to 50. Her bucket now holds the stolen light from Brannick's halo. She looks inside it, then at me. Keep it, I say. She hugs the bucket to her ribs. That might be the first gift anyone gives her after death. Around us, 40 cleansing knights surrender their weapons. Othric stares at the servants. His officers stare at Mara. Eloin stands beneath the chapel arch, pale and completely silent. Malus watches me rise from the stones with blood covering my coat. Bastion hides behind 2 surrendered knights. The courtyard contains too many witnesses. Good. Rumors need mouths. I retrieve the silver bell from Mara's remaining hand. Then I fasten it back beneath her apron. Bastion sees me do it. He also sees that his information is wrong. Not entirely wrong. That is what makes a trap convincing. He begins wondering which part fails. Fear will make him investigate. Greed will make him continue. Exactly as planned. Othric approaches me. You said the servants might become uncontrolled. They did not. That was not my question. I look at the courtyard. Undead laundresses bind prisoners with folded sheets. Skeletal cooks collect dropped weapons. Porters carry wounded holy knights toward the infirmary. Mara drags Brannick's body away from the clean stones. Then ask a better question. Othric's jaw tightens. Behind him, one young shield apostle whispers to another. The grave clerk commanded all of them. The second knight shakes his head. No, the maid did. A third voice joins them. I heard there are hundreds beneath the fortress. There it is. The first rumor. Inaccurate. Incomplete. Useful. I turn toward the hidden laundry house as dawn breaks over the walls. 36 servants are permanently gone. 164 remain. 13 watchdogs wait below. 48 new measures burn inside the ledger. Mara follows me with one arm, 2 blue eyes, and a bucket full of stolen sunlight. The holy knights move aside when we pass. Not far. Not respectfully. Just enough. For now, that is all I need. By noon, 3 different versions of me are circulating through the fortress. In the first, I command 1,000 corpses from beneath the laundry house. In the second, Mara is an ancient death saint wearing a servant's apron to mock the living. In the third, Canon Brannick Vale is never human at all. Apparently, I summon him, kill him, and absorb him as part of an elaborate demonstration. That version is my favorite. I hear it while standing behind a rack of drying bandages in the Western Infirmary. Two shield apostles whisper beside a wounded cleansing knight. They think the rustling cloth hides them. It does not. The clerk never moved. The younger apostle says, not until the cannon's field failed. He planned it. No one plans to get burned through the chest. He stood up afterward. He also bled on my boots. That proves nothing. The wounded cleansing knight opens one eye. He ate the cannon's soul. Both apostles stop speaking. The knight's face is gray beneath his bandages. Mara replaces the cloth around his ribs. Her movements remain careful, professional. She tightens the final knot until he gasps. Perhaps slightly less professional. The knight looks at her missing arm, then at the black bucket hanging from her hip. Brannock's stolen sunlight moves inside it like liquid gold. He tries to turn away. Mara takes his chin between two fingers and points his face directly toward the bucket. The message is painfully clear. He remembers who wins. She releases him. Then she smooths his blanket. Compassion and intimidation apparently share the same uniform. I step from behind the bandages. The two apostles straighten so quickly that one knocks over a stool. The wounded knight closes his eye again. Cowardice also comes in many forms. Continue, I say. No one was speaking. The older apostle replies. Then the silence is unusually detailed. Mara hands me a medical inventory. The infirmary receives 43 wounded soldiers after the courtyard battle. 11 belong to Othric. 32 belong to the cleansing caravan. Malus orders all of them treated. Not forgiven. Not released. Treated. She understands the difference. The cleansing knights remain prisoners beneath guard. Their wounds heal under the care of the same undead they come to erase. That creates a useful kind of humiliation. I review the inventory. 3 broken arms. 9 cracked ribs. 6 purification burns. 1 crushed throat. The man with the throat wound is somehow alive. Mara writes a small black mark beside his name. I look at her. She points at the kitchen. Then she mimics stirring a pot. No, I say. Her eye flames dim. We are not turning prisoners into broth. She reluctantly crosses out the mark. The two apostles stare at us. What? I ask. Neither answers. I walk into the corridor. They wait until I turn the corner. Then the younger one whispers. He understands her. The older one says, that is the disturbing part? Rumors improve when fed small truths. I let them continue. The fortress changes around me. Doors that remained closed yesterday now open before I reach them. Not because the holy knights respect me. The undead servants open them first. Priests stop ordering me out of restricted halls. They simply stop speaking when I enter. Officers no longer call me grave filth. They call me clerk. The promotion is almost touching. Othric does not restore my quarters. He moves me to a narrow records room beside the command tower. The chamber has 1 bed, 3 desks, and a window overlooking the execution courtyard. My old cell has fewer rats. The new room has fewer chains. An improvement, technically. My execution fire still burns below. No one extinguishes it. No one announces a new date either. The delay becomes a political object. Othric's soldiers want the servants to remain until the army marches. Eloan's priests want every undead body purified. Malus wants Brannock's orders examined before anyone touches anything. Bastion wants the ledger. I want them arguing. Arguments create time. Time creates corpses. Corpses create options. I place Brannock's empty soul chains across my desk. They emerge from his absorbed spirit after sunrise. 7 white links. Each one feels cold despite the golden runes carved into the surface. The ledger identifies them as purification restraints, compatible with curse modification. I do not use them yet. A skill appearing at the perfect moment is usually a skill appearing too late. I test first. Always. Mara stands across the room. Her missing left arm has not regenerated. The ledger offers 3 repair methods. Basic bone replacement costs 4 measures. Sanctified graft costs 12. Roll evolution repair remains unavailable. I can afford all 3 except the last. I choose none. Not because I enjoy seeing her damaged. Because she refuses every replacement I place on the desk. A human arm from the corpse stores receives no reaction. A silver-plated knight arm earns a sharp turn of her skull. A reinforced plague hound limb makes her pick up the nearest broom and chase me out of the room. That is the clearest rejection. She wants her own arm back, or something worthy of replacing it. I respect that. Mostly. The broom hurts. I return 10 minutes later. Mara has reorganized the room. My bed moves beneath the window. The three desks form a defensive triangle. The ledger sits in the center. Brannock's chains hang from iron hooks within easy reach. She places the tea tray on the desk farthest from the documents. The tea still tastes like boiled nails. Her housekeeping remains tactically flawless and culinarily criminal. The grave courier lands on the sill. Its capsule contains 4 folded messages. None are addressed to me. The first belongs to Othric. Western Command requests clarification regarding unauthorized cleansing action. The second belongs to Aloan. The 7 solar seals demand immediate transfer of all necromantic assets. The third belongs to Bastion. House Crow confirms retrieval rights and asks whether the command relic remains intact. The fourth contains no seal. It reads only one sentence. Do not let the maid ring the bell beneath a full moon. No signature. No explanation. I read it twice. Mara watches me. I pass it to her. She studies the sentence. Then she looks toward the sky. The moon will be full in 6 nights. One day after our temporary contract expires. Convenient. Suspicious. Potentially useful. Mara folds the message into a perfect square and hides it beneath her apron. She does not give it back. Apparently, mysterious threats fall under household management. I allow it. A knock sounds at the door. No one in the fortress knocks for me. That makes the visitor interesting. Enter. The door opens. A young holy knight steps inside carrying a dented helmet. I recognize him from the courtyard. He is the shield apostle whose breastplate folds against a chapel pillar during the Colossus attack. His name is Garen Holt. He stands 6 feet tall when he is not trying to become smaller. At the moment, he is trying very hard. He places the helmet on my desk. There is blood inside. That happens when people wear helmets during battles. It is not mine. I look closer. Black residue coats the inner rim. Cleansing fire burns the outer metal. Grave mist stains the inside. Brannock's field touches Garen during the fight. Something remains. I reach for the helmet. Garen pulls it back. Mara's polearm appears beneath his chin. One-handed. Instant. He freezes. She points at the mud on his boots. Then at the floor. Garen looks down. Oh. He removes his boots. Only then does Mara lower the weapon. He places the helmet on the desk again. Barefoot. I examine it. A weak soul echo clings to the metal. Not human. Not entirely. The purification field strips pieces from 36 servants. Most vanish. Some fragments attach themselves to nearby sanctified equipment. This helmet contains the memory of a laundress. Only a memory. No, full consciousness. I touch the residue. An image enters my mind. Stone corridors. A locked gate. Bastion's voice ordering servants away from evacuation carts. The laundress carries a child. A soldier tears the child from her arms. The memory ends beneath the Colossus's shadow. I release the helmet. Garen watches my face. What is it? Something the priests failed to cleanse. He swallows. Can it hurt me? Probably. His face pales. It has not yet. That does not help. It is not intended to. Mara reaches for the helmet. She holds it against the blue flame in her right eye. The black residue moves. It crawls across the metal and forms a tiny embroidered symbol along the inner padding. A folded sheet. The laundress's mark. Then it disappears. The helmet becomes clean. Garen looks relieved. Mara holds out her hand. He reaches for the helmet. She pulls it away. Then she points at a stack of damaged linen on the third desk. Garen stares. You want me to fold those? Mara nods. He looks at me. I say nothing. He folds linen for 20 minutes. Badly. Mara makes him repeat the corners. By the time she returns the helmet, Garen can produce a square sharp enough to satisfy a military inspector. He leaves without his boots. Mara uses them to block the uneven leg of my bed. I look at her. She turns away. Personality confirmed. The story reaches the dining hall before Garen does. By evening, half the fortress believes Mara removes curses in exchange for chores. The other half believes she places curses on anyone who refuses. Both versions improve work discipline. Holy Knights begin leaving damaged equipment outside my records room. No names, no requests. Just helmets, shields, gauntlets, belts, cloaks, and once an entire saddle. Mara inspects each object. Some contain harmless grime. Some hold fragments from the destroyed servants. She cleans all of them. Then she assigns a task to the owner. Polish chapel lamps. Carry water to the infirmary. Repair broken windows. Scrub the mud from the east corridor. The tasks become payment. No coin. No blessing. Labor for labor. The system notices. The ledger opens during the third exchange. A new line appears. Voluntary service transaction detected. Household influence increased. Not authority. Influence. Another resource. I study the explanation hidden beneath the silver text. Authority comes from recognized control. Influence comes from willing dependence. Holy Knights accepting Mara's service without a formal contract create a social bond the system can measure. 20 transactions produce 1 influence mark. 5 influence marks can temporarily reduce the authority cost of a household assignment. The numbers are small. The implication is not. I do not need to conquer every Holy Knight. I need them to need clean armor. Mara understands before I explain. She moves the repair station from my room to the open corridor. Public. Visible. Impossible to dismiss as secret necromancy. A line forms within an hour. No one admits it is a line. They stand at carefully irregular distances while pretending to inspect the wall. One knight carries a shield with a broken strap. Another holds boots missing both soles. A third hides a torn ceremonial sash beneath his cloak. Mara serves them in order. She refuses anyone attempting to step ahead. A sword saint tries once. She points to the back. He places one hand on his sword. Every waiting knight turns toward him. Not for Mara. For their repairs. He goes to the back. Influence rises. I watch from the doorway. This is not affection. Not loyalty. Dependency has no warmth. That makes it easier to trust. Prior Elowen arrives as the 27th customer receives a repaired breastplate. The line disappears instantly. Holy Knights scatter with the speed of guilty children. Mara remains seated behind the work table. Elowen studies the repaired equipment. You are encouraging them. I am standing here. You know what I mean. I rarely do. Her gaze moves to Mara's stolen sunlight bucket. The golden power still swirls inside. You will return that. To Brannock? To the church. The church left it unattended inside his soul. Her silver veil trembles. Anger. Fear. Perhaps both. Elowen steps closer. You believe one victory changes what you are. No. I look toward the execution courtyard. I know exactly what I am. During the tribunal, she tells me my hands are fit only for grave dirt. Now those same hands control the only force capable of undoing Brannock's contamination. She sees the thought. Her expression becomes colder. You remain condemned. Then why knock? She glances at Mara. Mara glances at the hem of Elowen's robe. A thin black stain spreads across the silver cloth. Residual purification corruption. Elowen notices. Her face changes. Only slightly. Enough. She places a sealed case on the table. Inside rests one of the 7 solar seals. The edge is black. Clean it, she says. Mara does not move. Elowen's jaw tightens. What does it want? What does she want? Mara points toward the ruined chapel windows. Then toward a stack of replacement glass. Elowen stares at her. You expect a prior to repair windows? Mara folds her remaining arm across her ribs. Silence wins. It usually does. Elowen lifts the first pane herself. By sunset, the East Chapel has 3 new windows. The workmanship is terrible. The seal is clean. Influence rises by 2 marks. Mara returns the relic in a folded cloth. Elowen leaves without thanking either of us. She also leaves the glass tools behind. An hour later, I hear her priests whispering near the chapel. The necromancer purified a solar seal. No, another says. The maid did. Then who controls the maid? No one answers. Good. The rumor no longer has one shape. It becomes a question. Questions spread farther. By midnight, messenger hawks leave the fortress in every direction. Othrix sends military reports. Elowen sends sealed warnings. The surviving cleansing knights send confessions. Bastion sends lies. The grave courier follows only one. Housecrow receives a message stating that Brannock dies because the silver bell fails to transfer command. Bastion does not abandon the plan. He modifies it, exactly as I expect. The reply returns before dawn. Do not seize the bell first. Separate the maid from the clerk. Force him beyond the contract boundary. The relic will become inert when the bond stretches. Mara reads the message beside me. She slowly turns her skull. Then she walks to the center of the room. She measures the distance between us with a strip of cloth. 1 foot, 2, 3. At 12 feet, she stops. She plants her polearm in the floor. Then she points at me, at herself, at the cloth. Training? She wants to test separation. I nod. For the next hour, we stretch the soul link through walls, stairways, towers, and underground passages. At 80 feet, ordinary sensation fades. At 300, commands become distorted. At half a mile, only emotional pressure remains. At 1 mile, the link narrows to a single pulse. Still intact. Bastion's information is wrong. Again, not completely. Mara's household bonuses weaken when she leaves the contract boundary. Beyond the outer wall, her command limit drops from 50 to 18. The silver bell compensates for another 12. At 1 mile, she can still command 30 lesser retainers. Enough. We return before sunrise. Mara marks every tested distance on the fortress map. Then she circles the northern road. The route the army will take in 3 days. She taps the map twice. Bastion wants us separated. She wants him to try. I close the ledger. Outside, the first training horns sound. The Western Army gathers in the courtyard. As I descend the command tower, soldiers make room without being ordered. No one bows. No one salutes. One knight quietly hands Mara a torn glove as we pass. She takes it. He immediately joins the rear of the invisible queue. I remain condemned. I remain unranked. I remain the only man in the fortress without a holy class. Yet every shield on the eastern wall is polished by my dead. Every officer sleeps beneath sheets my retainers wash. Every priest now examines their sacred relics for stains only Mara can remove. They still call me the grave clerk. They simply say it more quietly. I step into the courtyard beside Othric. 200 soldiers stand in formation. 164 undead servants work around them. 13 furnace watchdogs remain hidden below. 364 unraised frames wait in the ash tunnels. Othric looks at Mara, then at me. The army departs in 3 days. I know. You and the maid remain here. Mara's right eye flame flares. Bastion watches from the accounting balcony. His smile returns. He thinks the separation begins. I look at Othric, then at the northern gate, then at the messenger hawk leaving Bastion's window. Of course, I say. Mara lowers her head obediently. Beneath her apron, the silent bell rings once through the soul link. Far below us, 364 empty skeletons turn their skulls toward the road. Othric's army leaves beneath a sky the color of old steel. 200 cavalry riders pass through the northern gate. 800 infantry follow. Priests march between supply wagons, blessing wheels, horses, and every soldier too nervous to admit he wants the extra protection. I stand on the western wall beside Mara. Neither of us is invited to the farewell. That seems reasonable. The last time I attend a public ceremony, someone prepares a fire beneath my feet. Bastion watches the column from the accounting balcony. He wears a new white glove over his broken hand. His living messenger hawk rests on the railing beside him. He looks at me. Then he looks at Mara. Then he looks toward the road carrying Othric farther from the fortress. His smile spreads. There it is. Confidence. The dangerous kind. Othric leaves 400 soldiers behind under Malis's temporary command. Eloin keeps 60 priests inside the inner sanctuary. Bastion retains control of the remaining living servants, storehouses, payroll office, and civilian gates. On paper, the fortress remains balanced. In reality, Othric takes most of the people willing to stab Bastion openly. I would call that unfortunate. Instead, I call it scheduled. The northern gate's close. Mara rings the silent bell beneath her apron. Far below us, 364 empty skeletons tilt their skulls toward the fortress. Begin, I say. The hidden furnace wakes. 13 furnace watchdogs breathe black flame into the old plague channels. Rust melts from the rails. Ash hardens into dark glass. 164 servants abandon harmless chores and descend through laundry shafts, kitchen drains, collapsed wells, and forgotten burial passages. They do not march in one visible column. That would be dramatic. Drama is usually inefficient. They disappear one at a time. A maid carrying folded sheets enters the eastern linen room. She steps through a false wall. A porter pushing broken chairs turns into a storage tunnel. A cook takes spoiled meat toward the refuse trench and never reaches the surface gate. Within half an hour, The occupied fortress appears to contain fewer undead than before. Bastion notices. Exactly as intended. By midday, only 47 servants remain visible above ground. They perform every public duty badly enough to look diminished. Meals arrive late. Armor repairs slow. Dust gathers in corners. The holy knights complain. Mara forces herself to ignore 3 muddy footprints in the chapel. Her eye flames shake with absolute fury. Sacrifice comes in many forms. I place one hand on her shoulder. The dirt survives until tonight. She turns toward me. The look inside her blue flames promises that someone will pay for this. Probably me. Below us, the real household expands. I descend through the old laundry furnace after sunset. The ash tunnels no longer resemble a grave. They resemble a city under construction. Bone arches reinforce the ceilings. Monster ribs form support beams. Old plague rails carry carts between chambers. Blue corpse lamps hang from iron hooks, each fueled by soul residue too weak to compress. The central furnace becomes a command hall. The eastern ash vault becomes an armory. The collapsed drainage cistern becomes a kennel for the watchdogs. 3 burial shafts become sleeping racks for inactive frames. Undead do not sleep. They still organize better when given assigned spaces. Mara insists on that. The black ledger floats above the central work table. Silver lines divide its pages into households. Sanitation wing, kitchen wing, records wing, transport wing, recovery wing. Each branch has a supervising retainer. The old skeletal butler becomes chief porter. The headless laundress becomes linen mistress. The records clerk becomes black archivist. An undead cook with 6 knives embedded in his spine becomes furnace chef. None consumes a permanent bond. The fortress contract holds them. Mara's hierarchy gives them authority over lesser workers. One command passes from me to Mara. Mara divides it among 5 supervisors. Each supervisor directs between 12 and 30 servants. The system rewards structure. Every layer reduces the authority cost of simple tasks. Moving 100 bodies through the tunnels once requires 9 measures. Under the household hierarchy, it costs 2. Organization is not decoration. It is multiplication. I raise 86 of the prepared skeleton frames. Not as soldiers. Not officially. 30 become ash porters. 20 become tunnel attendants. 12 become corpse sorters. 10 become furnace sweepers. 8 become relic packers. 6 become emergency butchers. The ledger accepts every role under the sanitation amendment. Temporary retainers rise from 177 to 263. 37 slots remain. The underground household controls 7 chambers, 4 miles of passage, 2 hidden exits, and every abandoned furnace beneath the western fortress. That is the visible count. The actual military strength is harder to measure. Each ash porter carries 3 spare skeleton frames on a rail cart. Every tunnel attendant knows how to unlock a wall from the inside. Every corpse sorter can assemble a functional beast frame in less than 4 minutes. The furnace sweepers carry hooked brooms sharpened from plague boar ribs. The emergency butchers use cleavers heavy enough to split sanctified plate. They are workers. They are also an army pretending to have chores. Honestly, I see no meaningful difference. The remaining 278 unraised frames hang inside sealed alcoves. I divide them into groups of 20. Each group receives sorted bones, monster cores, weapons, and prepared roll tags. Unraised bodies cost nothing. Prepared bodies cost time. Time is currently cheaper than authority. That will not always remain true. I place the 13 grave measures gained from recent voluntary transactions into the command hall. The system converts 5 influence marks into a temporary authority reduction. Mara's next evolution becomes available. The ledger displays 3 requirements. Household population above 250. 3 recognized supervisors. 1 captured sanctified power source. All are complete. The cost is 20 measures. I have 18. Mara reads the page. Then she lifts Brannick's bucket. Stolen sunlight swirls inside. She pours it onto the ledger. Golden fire runs across the black pages. The system converts the captured blessing into 4 grave measures. 22. Enough. I place Brannick's 7 purification chains on the table. Mara places her remaining hand beside them. The missing arm is obvious. She looks at me. This time, she does not reject the replacement. Elite assignment, I say. The household freezes. Every servant turns toward the furnace hall. The silent bell rings once. Black text spreads across the ledger: retainer evolution approved. Housekeeper advancing to elite household commander. The chains move first. They wrap around Mara's missing shoulder. White links melt into black silver. A new arm forms from layered bone, sanctified metal, and 7 narrow chains running beneath the surface like tendons. Her fingers end in polished black nails. The stolen sunlight enters the joints. Blue-gold fire burns through the gaps. Her scorched apron lengthens into a severe black uniform edged with silver. The ring of keys on her polearm grows from 5 to 13. The bucket compresses into a small golden lantern hanging from her belt. The silver bell leaves her apron and sinks into the center of her sternum. For 1 second, I see its outline beneath her ribs. Then it rings. Not in the air. Inside every bond. 262 servants straighten at once. 13 watchdogs lower their heads. The hidden frames shake inside their alcoves. The system alert strikes across my vision. Elite retainer established. Mara, Black Bell housekeeper. 3 skills follow. Household dominion. Sanctified contamination removal. Final inspection. The first expands her full command range to the entire contracted territory. The second allows her to strip hostile holy effects and redistribute them among assigned workers. The third remains locked. Condition unknown. I dislike unknown conditions. Mara looks at her new arm. She opens her hand, closes it. Then she walks directly toward the muddy footprints she has been ignoring since morning. The entire household follows her through the tunnels. I catch her shoulder. Not all of them. She looks behind herself. 262 servants wait in perfect silence. She raises one finger. The supervisor's turn. Every worker, except 6, returns to duty. Elite status has not improved her sense of proportion. It has improved her efficiency. Close enough. We return above ground before midnight. Mara cleans the 3 footprints. The stone shines brighter than the altar. She stands over the spotless floor for several seconds. Satisfaction moves through the soul link. I almost understand religion. The next morning, Bastion makes his first move. He sends an inspector to my records room. Not a priest. Not a knight. A thin man named Pelrin wearing the gray sash of the provisionary office. Pell carries a legal order granting him access to all objects classified as temporary labor controls. The order bears Othric's copied military seal. The copy is excellent. The pressure pattern is wrong. Othric signs with his left thumb. This impression comes from the right. I say nothing. A trap works best when the target believes he opens it himself. Pell searches the room. He finds Brannick's empty chains missing. He finds diagrams of the fortress boundary. He finds a map showing Mara's tested command distances. He finds 3 deliberately ruined pages calculating collapse points. At the bottom of the final page, I write 1 line. Maximum stable distance without relic reinforcement. 1 mile. Pell reads it twice. Mara stands behind him. Her new arm remains hidden beneath a long sleeve. The silver bell no longer hangs visibly from her apron. That creates a problem for him. Where's the control relic? He asks. Mara taps her chest. Pell stiffens. He expects the bell to remain removable. Instead, he believes the evolution fuses it into her body. His plan must change. Again, I watch greed solve that inconvenience. Can it be extracted? Everything can be extracted, I say. Mara slowly turns her skull toward me. I feel her opinion through the bond. Sharp. Personal. I add. Not safely. Pell writes that down. He leaves. That night, Bastion interacts with the bait directly. He chooses the western corpse field. Smart. The location sits beyond the inner wall but inside the sanitation amendment. He orders 6 living servants to report a collapsed plague trench. Mara and I respond with 12 undead porters. Bastion waits behind a ruined watchtower with Pell and 4 crow retainers. They carry sanctified hooks, a portable boundary stone, and a black wagon lined with command-dampening scripture. They think I do not see them. The grave courier sits inside the tower rafters. Its eyes are mine. Mara reaches the trench. I remain near the outer gate. Half a mile separates us. The soul link remains strong. Bastion rolls the boundary stone into position. Golden light rises. The device creates a temporary legal boundary around Mara and the 12 porters. Not a magical wall. A jurisdictional one. Clever. The ledger recognizes the zone as Crow-controlled property for exactly 60 seconds. Our sanitation contract does not apply inside it. Mara's household bonuses vanish. The 12 porters collapse. She drops to one knee. Her elite evolution allows her to resist. I order her not to. She lets both eye flames dim. Bastion steps from hiding. His face shines with absolute triumph. The forged report was accurate. Pell kneels beside one collapsed porter. The bond fails when the maid crosses contractual ownership. Not the distance, Bastion says. The boundary. He thinks he discovers the truth behind the false clue. That is exactly what I want. A simple lie creates suspicion. A layered lie creates confidence. Bastion grabs Mara's new arm. The purification chains beneath the surface remain dark. She does not move. He presses a silver probe against her sternum. The hidden bell vibrates. Pell's instrument reacts. There, he whispers. The command relic is fused behind the breastbone. Bastion's smile becomes almost peaceful. He believes the servants collapse because Mara loses my contracted authority. He believes the bell stores command. He believes removing it at the moment the fortress contract expires will transfer the entire household to him. Every visible fact supports the theory. Because I arrange every visible fact, the boundary stone has 18 seconds remaining. One crow retainer opens the black wagon. Inside rests a surgical frame large enough to hold Mara. Bastion touches her skull. Even a dead woman would refuse to serve you, he whispers. Soon, this one will serve me. Mara's right hand tightens. I feel the chains in her new arm preparing to move. Wait, I send through the link. The boundary timer reaches 5 seconds. Bastion steps back. Leave her. We know enough. 4. Pell retrieves the probe. 3. The crow retainers close the wagon. 2. Bastion touches the boundary stone. 1. Golden light collapses. The 12 porters rebuild themselves. Mara's eye flames ignite. Household dominion floods back through the bonds. One crow retainer freezes too close to her. He raises a sanctified hook. Bad decision. Mara's new chain arm separates at the wrist. 7 black links shoot across the distance. They wrap around his weapon, throat, knees, and chest. She pulls once. The hook flies into her hand. The man flies into the trench. A plague beast rib pierces his back. He stops moving. The other 3 retainers draw swords. Bastion raises one hand. No. His voice shakes. Not with fear, excitement. He watches the dead retainer's soul rise. He watches me approach from the gate. He thinks he has seen the complete mechanism. He has not seen anything close. Mara steps over the corpse. The black chains retract into her arm. The killing blow is clean, decisive. Her first action as an elite retainer. Bastion bows slightly. My apologies. The boundary device appears defective. No, I say. It works perfectly. His eyes meet mine. For 1 second, I wonder whether he hears the second meaning. Then greed buries the thought. He orders his people to carry the body away. I stop them. The corpse lies inside my sanitation jurisdiction. Bastion's smile tightens. It belongs to House Crow. The living man did. I place my hand over the dead retainer's chest. The waste does not. I absorb the soul. 7 lesser souls enter storage. Not impressive. The expression on Bastion's face is. He leaves with Pell, the boundary stone, in complete confidence in a false system. By dawn, House Crow begins investing. The grave courier follows 3 messages. One requests 6 additional boundary stones. One orders a relic surgeon from the capital. The last instructs every Crow warehouse to prepare employment seals for 300 undead servants. 300. He plans to inherit my entire temporary capacity. He pays deposits, calls specialists, bribes priests, moves armed retainers toward the fortress. The bait is no longer an idea. It is now a budget. That makes it real to him. Below the laundry house, my underground dominion continues growing. 263 active retainers patrol the tunnels. 37 contract slots remain open. 278 prepared frames wait in reserve. 5 supervisors maintain independent command branches. 13 furnace watchdogs guard the entrances. Mara controls every one of them from anywhere inside the fortress. The holy knights above still believe most of my servants weaken. Bastion believes he has discovered why. Eloan believes the household depends on stolen, sanctified energy. Malus believes none of us. She is probably the smartest person here. I stand in the furnace command hall while Mara places the crow retainer's sanctified hook on the armory wall. She hangs it beneath a small label, unauthorized cleaning tool. Then she turns toward the household map. House Crow's approaching routes glow in black ink. 6 boundary stones, 1 surgeon, 80 armed retainers. Arrival scheduled on the night our contract expires. The full moon rises 1 night later. I touch the silent warning hidden inside Mara's apron. Do not let the maid ring the bell beneath a full moon. Someone else knows what she is becoming. Someone else is watching the household grow. That variable does not fit my current plan. I do not panic. I add another column to the ledger. Unknown observer. Then I move 3 reserve squads toward the northern tunnels and change the exit codes. Recalibration does not require fear. Only accuracy. Mara rings the bell inside her chest. The underground household answers. Hundreds of blue flames ignite beneath the fortress. Above us, Bastion prepares to steal an army of undead maids. Below him, the maids are already building an empire. Malus enters my underground empire without triggering a single alarm. That is the first sign something has gone wrong. The second is Mara pressing her polearm against the Justiciar's throat before I even feel the outer tunnel open. I stand over the household map while 263 undead workers freeze around us. Blue corpse lamps burn along the furnace walls. 13 watchdogs bare their bone teeth. 5 supervisors wait for Mara's command. Malus stands in the center of all of it wearing black-edged armor and an expression that suggests she has discovered a badly filed document. She does not look surprised. That concerns me more than fear would. You missed one passage, she says. I glance toward the tunnel behind her. No. Her eyes narrow. You knew it existed? I knew there should be one. Yet you left it unguarded. I left it unused. Mara presses the polearm closer. The silver hook touches the skin beneath Malus's jaw. The Justiciar does not flinch. She looks at Mara's new chain arm. Your maid has improved. Mara's right eye flame sharpens. She dislikes that description, I say. She is wearing an apron. She is also holding a weapon against her throat. Malus considers that. Fair. Mara does not lower the polearm. The household remains silent. Above us, Bastion prepares boundary stones, relic surgeons, and employment seals. Below him, the Dominion's most dangerous legal officer has walked directly into the center of my real power. This is not part of the plan. I hate unplanned visitors, especially competent ones. How long? I ask. Since the courtyard battle. You knew about the tunnels? I knew workers were disappearing into walls. That is not the same thing. No. This is much worse. Her gaze moves across the command hall. The bone arches. The rails. The inactive skeleton frames hanging inside alcoves. The sorted weapons. The sealed monster cores. The household branches written across the floating ledger. She sees everything. Not every detail. Enough. Mara's soul link tightens. One command from me and the Justiciar dies before she reaches the tunnel. Probably. Malus commands the Ash Tribunal. Her class specializes in binding hostile magic to legal judgment. I do not know what happens if she declares this place condemned before death. Probably nothing pleasant. I recalculate. Killing her removes one witness. It also sends every tribunal seal in the fortress into alarm. Imprisoning her creates a timer. Lying insults both of us. So, I choose accuracy. You should not be here. Neither should 300 prepared skeletons. 278. That correction does not help. I am not trying to help. She looks toward the inactive frames. You plan to raise them. I prepare options. You build an army beneath a holy fortress. I build a workforce beneath a badly managed fortress. One furnace sweeper passes behind her carrying a hooked broom and 3 severed monster skulls. Malus watches it disappear into the eastern tunnel. Of course. Mara's polearm remains steady. I touch the ledger. The household map changes. Every exit closes except the passage behind Malus. Not a threat. A calculation. She notices. You think I came alone. I know you did. That is not entirely true. The grave courier circles above the fortress. The watchdogs patrol every known shaft. No living heartbeat follows her underground. Still, Malus enters through a passage I never open. Someone could be waiting beyond it. She reaches slowly beneath her cloak. Mara's chains shoot from her new arm. They wrap around Malus's wrist. The Justiciar stops. Careful, she says. You first. She pulls out a folded strip of black cloth. Not a weapon. A tribunal mourning ribbon. A silver symbol is stitched into it. A bell split down the center. Mara recoils. The movement is small. The soul link is not. The elderly housekeeper's memory inside her erupts. Moonlight over servant graves. A woman in tribunal armor kneeling beside a burial trench. A silver bell ringing without sound. 30 dead workers standing up beneath a full moon. Then screaming. Then fire. The memory vanishes. Mara's polearm drops an inch. Malus sees it. So she remembers. Explain. The Black Bell incident, Malus says. 23 years ago. Before Othric commands this fortress. Before Bastion inherits the provisionary office. She places the mourning ribbon on the work table. Mara does not let go of her wrist. Malus continues anyway. A household relic awakens beneath a full moon. 400 dead servants rise under a single command network. They do not attack the fortress. What do? They begin naming the people responsible for their deaths. That sounds reasonable. The priests burn them before the testimony finishes, Malus says. Mara's twin flames flare violently. Every servant in the command hall turns toward us. The silent bell inside her sternum vibrates. The corpse lamps flicker. A system alert cuts across my vision, dormant household memory responding to lunar condition, network instability increasing. There it is. The unknown variable. Not an outside curse. Not exactly. The bell carries unfinished authority from the previous household. Under a full moon, it may reconnect with every servant who ever dies under the fortress contract. That could mean hundreds, thousands, or one catastrophic loss of control. The system refuses to say. Malus looks at the floating ledger. You did not know. I knew enough to dislike the moon. That is not enough. No, I say. It is not. I hate admitting that. I hate being right about hating it. Mara releases Malus's wrist. Not from trust. From distraction. She presses her black-silver hand against her sternum. The hidden bell pulses beneath the bone. A crack of blue light appears across her rib cage. The household feels it. 100 servants in the western tunnel stop moving. 37 inactive frames begin scratching against their alcoves. I close the ledger around the command network. The movement ceases. For now, Malus watches me. Bastion's plan will fail. Yes. His attempt to remove the bell may still trigger the memory. That is new. He has ordered a blank relic surgeon. I know. Then you know the surgeon belongs to the 7 solar seals. That changes the board. Bastion thinks he hires a crow specialist. Eloan's institution supplies the surgeon. Brannick serves both House Crow and the church. The cleansing caravan comes to seize the ledger. The surgeon comes to extract the bell. Perhaps Bastion believes he is stealing my army. Perhaps Eloan intends to wake the old household long enough to erase it permanently. 2 predators can share bait without sharing goals. I look toward Malus. And you? I came to prevent another burning. Mara's eye flames narrow. I almost laugh. Justiciar, you supervise public executions. I supervise lawful executions. The difference is mostly paperwork. The paperwork is the difference. She believes that. Completely. That makes her dangerous in a predictable way. I prefer predictable danger. You ordered my fire prepared, I say. I also delayed the lighting. By 12 minutes. Brannick wanted it lit before the tribunal record closed. That is new. I study her face. She does not look away. You suspected him. I suspected everyone. Healthy. Then the Colossus attacked. You raised Mara. Brannick arrived early. Bastion forged Othric's seal. Eloan concealed the Black Bell records. Mara turns toward the Justiciar. The elder flame in her right socket burns brighter. Eloan knew? I ask. She seals the incident archive personally. That moves Prior Eloan higher on the list. Not because she fears necromancy. Fear is ordinary. She knows the bell. She knows what Mara might become. She still sends a relic surgeon. That is intent. I touch Brannick's purification restraints hanging from the wall. Why warn me now? Malus removes her sword. Every watchdog growls. She lays the black-edged blade on the table. Golden scripture crawls along the fuller. A second layer of writing hides beneath it. I recognize Brannick's soul signature. Small, sharp, buried deep. The cannon places a command seal inside my weapon during the courtyard battle, she says. It activates whenever I approach necromantic authority. What command? Kill the bearer of the ledger. Mara's chains snap around the sword. The hidden scripture flares. Melis's hand moves toward the hilt. She stops it with her other hand. Her jaw tightens. The command is active, not complete control. Compulsion. Brannick plans beyond his own death. Clever. Annoying. I step back. Melis's fingers close around empty air. Mara pulls the sword across the table. Golden light lashes from the blade. It strikes her chain arm. Sanctified fire spreads toward her shoulder. She does not release it. Instead, she opens the lantern at her belt. Brannick's stolen sunlight pours out. The two holy forces collide. The command seal recognizes its original power. For half a second, it hesitates. That is enough. Mara twists the laundress key on her polearm. 3 undead laundresses throw a black funeral sheet over the sword. The command scripture burns through the first layer. A records clerk wraps it in tribunal parchment. The letters slow. Mara drives her hand through the cloth and grips the blade directly. Her palm chars. Blue-gold fire pours from her wrist. Sanctified contamination removal activates. The command seal tears free. It emerges as a white centipede made from scripture. The creature screams without a mouth. It races across Mara's arm toward her sternum. She traps it between 2 fingers. Then she drops it into the lantern. The stolen sunlight devours it. Melis collapses against the table. The compulsion leaves her body. Mara catches the justiciar before she hits the floor. Not gently. Still, she catches her. The black-edged sword falls silent. A system alert passes across my vision. Hostile command extracted. Pattern recorded. Useful. Very useful. Brannick Seal is a command structure designed to overwrite choice while preserving skill. Necromancy does the opposite. It preserves assigned purpose by restricting behavior. The two systems are not identical. They are close enough to learn from each other. I store the pattern in the ledger. Melis notices. Do not reproduce that. I would never. She looks at me. I mean it. So do I. Mara places Melis upright. The justiciar retrieves her sword. This time, the weapon does not pull her toward me. Her expression changes. Not gratitude. Relief sharpened into anger. She turns toward the nearest tunnel. Eloan knew Brannick could mark tribunal weapons. Can you prove it? No. Then anger is decorative. Her eyes flash. I continue before she draws the now clean sword. Proof first. You have a plan. I have several. That is not reassuring. It is not intended to be. I reopen the household map. House Crow's forces approach from 3 roads. The relic surgeon travels with the central column. 6 boundary stones move in separate wagons. Bastion's employment seals remain in the fortress vault. Othric's army is 2 days north. The temporary household contract expires in 3 nights. The full moon follows 1 night later. Too many events converge. That is not coincidence. Someone schedules them. Eloan controls the lunar archive. Bastion controls the provisions. Brannick controls cleansing. The surgeon controls relic extraction. 4 hands. 1 machine. My original plan uses Bastion's greed to trigger the collapse of his own logistics. That remains viable, but if the bell awakens before I secure its memory network, Mara could lose command. Or gain too much. Both are unacceptable. I change the order. Bastion remains in the trap, I say. Melis studies the map. Eloan? Observed. The surgeon? Taken alive. The boundary stones? Stolen before deployment. And the bell? I look at Mara. She stands beside the household ledger with smoke rising from her burned palm. The soul link carries no fear. Only furious determination. She wants the truth of the old household. She also wants control over what wakes inside her. Good. Fear would complicate things. Purpose can be directed. We test it before the full moon, I say. Melis's expression hardens. That could recreate the incident, under controlled conditions. There were 400 dead. I have 263 active retainers and almost 300 prepared frames. That is not better. It is more accurate. She looks at Mara. What happens if she loses control? Mara answers before I do. She lifts her chain arm. 7 black links shoot across the room. They wrap around the silver bell emblem glowing beneath her sternum. Then she places the end of the chain in my hand. A kill line. If the command network overwhelms her, I tear the relic free myself. The action might destroy her. She knows. I know. Melis understands. For the first time, the justiciar's expression cracks. You trust him with that? Mara looks at me. The elder flame burns in one socket. Her own flame burns in the other. She closes my fingers around the chain. Trust is not the word. Trust expects kindness. What exists between us is harsher. I will not allow the bell to turn her into a mindless relic. She will not allow the household to consume me. Neither of us needs the other to be gentle, only exact. She trusts the result, I say. Mara rings the silent bell once. The supervisors enter the hall. Chief porter, linen mistress, black archivist, furnace chef, kennel master. Mara points toward 5 sections of the map. The household divides. One branch prepares a sealed testing chamber beneath the western cistern. One moves the unraised frames beyond the bell's expected range. One tracks the relic surgeon. One shadows Elowen's priests. One begins replacing Bastion's employment seals with altered copies. Malus watches the orders spread without a spoken word. You planned this quickly. I changed the plan quickly. There is a difference? Yes. I point toward the northern tunnel. You return above ground. To do what? Continue investigating me. Her eyes narrow. Publicly. Understanding reaches her. If Malus suddenly allies with me, Bastion becomes cautious. If the Justiciar continues searching my rooms, questioning my servants, and threatening confiscation, he sees division. A fracture. He may even approach her. That gives us access to his next move. You want me to pretend I intend to arrest you, she says. You already intend to arrest me. Eventually. Then the performance should feel natural. Mara hands Malus her sword. She also hands her a cleaning invoice. The Justiciar reads it. 1 hostile command seal removed. Payment due. Inspection of Western Relic Convoy. Malus looks at me. Is this necessary? Mara taps the invoice. Yes, I say. Malus signs. The ledger flashes. Voluntary service transaction detected. Household influence increases. The Justiciar stares at the silver words. You are bribing the tribunal with cleaning services. I prefer structured exchange. You are impossible. No. Merely expensive. She folds the invoice into her cloak. Then she leaves through the passage she uses to enter. This time, Mara assigns 2 grave couriers to follow her. Not because we distrust Malus, because trust changes nothing. Verification remains useful. At sunrise, the fortress witnesses our fracture. Malus storms into my records room with 12 tribunal knights. She overturns 2 desks. She seizes 3 fake ledgers. She orders my movement restricted to the western wing. I accuse her of serving Elowen. She places her sword against my throat. Mara slams the Justiciar through a cabinet. The wall cracks. Holy knights gather in the corridor. Bastion watches from the staircase. His eyes shine. The argument is loud. Public. Completely convincing. Mostly because Mara genuinely dislikes Malus damaging the furniture. Malus leaves with the fake ledgers. Bastion follows her 20 minutes later. The grave courier follows both. By noon, Malus sends a single message through the cleaned sword's reflection. Bastion offers her command of 50 undead guards after my death. She accepts. Of course she does. The bait now has another believer. Or so Bastion thinks. Below the fortress, Mara enters the sealed testing chamber. The room contains 1 empty skeleton, 1 silver mirror, 1 circle of Brannick's altered command script. No full moon. Only reflected light gathered from the stolen sanctified lantern. A small test. A controlled test. Checkoff before catastrophe. I stand outside the circle holding the chain connected to Mara's hidden bell. She lifts her polearm. The lantern opens. Moon-like light fills the chamber. The bell rings. The empty skeleton raises its head. Then a woman's voice speaks through its broken jaw. Bastion Crow locked the gate. Mara freezes. The elder flame inside her right socket expands. The skeleton turns toward me. Elowen Voss ordered the bodies burned before dawn. The household tunnels become completely silent. A 3rd sentence follows. Othric Dane arrived after the fire. That matters. The old household does not accuse him. The alliance board shifts again. Then the skeleton looks directly at Mara. You were the one who opened the servant's door. Mara's soul link shatters into memory. Smoke. Children running. A young maid holding the gate while holy fire consumes her back. The elderly housekeeper pushing survivors through the passage. Mara dying with 1 hand on the lock. Not a victim waiting to be saved. The last servant standing. The silver bell inside her sternum rings a 2nd time. Every inactive frame in the underground empire opens its eyes. I pull the kill line. Not hard enough to tear the bell free. Hard enough to remind Mara where the present is. Her left flame contracts. Then her right. She turns toward me. Control returns. The raised skeleton collapses. The chamber goes dark. The test ends. Not safely. Successfully. Mara reaches through the circle. I take her black-silver hand. The old household is not trying to possess her. It is trying to testify through her. That is more dangerous politically. Less dangerous personally. Probably. I update the plan again. Bastion will not merely lose his army. Elowen will not merely lose her seals. When the full moon rises, the dead servants beneath the western fortress will name every person responsible for their deaths. Malus will record it. Othric will hear it. The holy knights will witness it. Mara releases my hand. Then she takes the cleaning invoice Malus signs and pins it beside Bastion's forged employment orders. 2 documents. 2 alliances. 1 false. 1 conditional. Neither based on affection. Perfect. Above us, House Crow's convoy appears on the southern road. Below it, the Black Bell housekeeper begins preparing the dead to give evidence. House Crow enters the western fortress as though it already owns the walls. 80 armed retainers march beneath black and gold banners. 6 wagons carry boundary stones wrapped in scripture. A 7th carries a surgical frame surrounded by enough holy incense to choke an angel. At the center rides relic surgeon Caldramorn. The person sitting beneath the wagon canopy is a narrow woman in a crimson medical coat, famous for extracting divine organs from living saints without interrupting their prayers. She wears 12 silver instruments across her chest. None resemble tools designed to preserve the patient. Bastion waits inside the southern gate with Pelrin beside him. Prior Elowen stands on the chapel stairs. Malus watches from the tribunal balcony, one hand resting on the sword Mara cleans for her. I remain beside the execution fire. My hands are unbound. The wood is still stacked. The message is obvious. Freedom has not become law. It has merely become useful. Bastion descends the gate stairs with both arms spread. Welcome to the transfer ceremony. Transfer. Not inspection. Not negotiation. He announces ownership before possessing anything. That is confidence approaching illness. The holy knights lining the courtyard shift uneasily. Bastion notices. He enjoys it. He walks toward Mara. She stands behind me in her black bell uniform, one hand resting on the polearm at her side. Her chain arm remains covered. Her twin-eye flames burn low. No one looking at her would guess she can command an underground household of 263 retainers. No one except Malus. She is doing an admirable job of pretending otherwise. Bastion stops 3 feet from Mara. Soon, he says, you will no longer be forced to serve a condemned criminal. The elder flame in Mara's right socket brightens. I feel the old housekeeper's fury rise through the bond. I send one thought. Wait. Mara lowers her head. Bastion mistakes restraint for obedience. Naturally, he turns toward the gathered knights. For 7 days, this fortress has suffered beneath an illegal labor arrangement. A skeletal maid passes behind him carrying clean towels. One knight quietly takes a towel. Bastion ignores that. House Crow has acquired lawful employment seals capable of preserving the useful functions of these remains after the necromancers. Contract expires. Useful functions. Remains. He speaks about the household while standing within range of 30 undead workers. Talk about confidence approaching suicide. Hell opens a lacquered case. 300 gold employment seals rest inside. Each seal carries the crow wagon symbol. Each also contains the altered command pattern copied from Brannick's scripture. I recognize it immediately. The design attempts to preserve skill while replacing choice. Bastion does not want workers. He wants tools that remember how to work. That is a particularly ugly distinction. Mara sees it too. Her fingers tighten around the polearm. The keys hanging beneath its quills begin turning without being touched. 1, 2, 3, then stop. A 14th empty ring has appeared among them. No key hangs from it. The ledger beneath my coat warms. A system message flashes through my vision. Advanced household role detected. Evolution pathway incomplete. There it is. The next form. Not available. Not named. Waiting. The empty ring reacts to the crow seals as though expecting a key made from stolen authority. I file that away. Caldra Morn steps down from the surgical wagon. Her eyes move over Mara with clinical hunger. The relic is behind the sternum? Bastion nods. Fused during evolution. In the command network? Stored within the bell. Wrong. Repeated confidently. The best kind of bait. Caldra walks around Mara. She does not request permission. She touches the black-silver spine. Mara remains perfectly still. The surgeon presses 2 fingers against the sternum emblem. The hidden bell rings through the soul link. Every undead servant inside the fortress turns toward the courtyard. Below ground, hundreds of blue flames open. Caldra smiles. I can remove it. Mara's left hand rises half an inch. I catch her wrist. The surgeon looks at me. You object? I prefer my property undamaged. Bastion laughs. The sound is loud enough for the entire courtyard. Your property? He steps between us. You hold nothing. Your contract expires tomorrow night. Your grave authority exists only because High Marshal Dane lends you jurisdiction. He gestures toward Othric's empty command balcony. He is 2 days north, then toward Milas. The tribunal recognizes the transfer. Malus gives a small nod, a convincing lie. Then toward Aloan. The church will purify any resistance. Aloan raises the black-edged solar seal Mara cleans for her. Golden light spreads across the chapel stairs. And House Crow, Bastion says, placing one gloved hand over the employment seals, will inherit every servant remaining. He turns to me. You have spent 7 days building my workforce. There it is. The peak. Not mere arrogance. Accounting arrogance. He thinks my hidden growth belongs on his balance sheet. He thinks every repaired bone is an investment made for him. He thinks Mara's evolution increases the value of the asset he plans to seize. I look toward the undead servants around the courtyard. Several lower their heads. Not because Bastion commands them, because Mara orders the performance. He sees submission. I see 30 witnesses memorizing his voice. 300 seals, he continues. 300 workers. No wages. No food. No sleep. No disobedience. A shield apostle near the fountain shifts his grip on his sword. Bastion does not notice. He is speaking to the future he already believes he owns. The Western Army will never again suffer supply delays. House Crow will control every road, kitchen, hospital, furnace, and burial detail from here to the capital. Elowen's gaze turns toward him. That part is not in their shared arrangement. Good. Greed begins dividing them before the trap closes. Bastion raises his voice further. And when the system recognizes our employment seals, the Dominion will no longer need unreliable living servants. The remaining human kitchen workers stand beneath the gallery. They hear him. So do the porters, the stable hands, the washerwomen. Even Pell's expression changes. Only slightly. Bastion has finally announced what his victory costs everyone else. I do not need to spread the statement. The fortress contains ears. Mara touches the silver bell inside her chest. One quiet pulse enters the household. The black archivist records every word. Exact phrasing. Exact cadence. Exact witness count. Preparation for testimony. Preparation for judgment. Preparation for something larger. The empty 14th ring on her polearm rotates once. A black outline forms inside it. Not a key. The shape resembles a judge's hammer crossed with a house key. Then it disappears. Evolution pending. Conditions still incomplete. Bastion gestures toward the surgical wagon. Place the maid in the frame. 6 crow retainers advance. Mara does not resist. That unsettles Caldra. The surgeon studies me. You are allowing this? The contract remains active. For another day. Yes. Caldra smiles. She thinks I rely on time. Bastion thinks I rely on jurisdiction. Elowen thinks I rely on stolen holy power. All 3 understand one visible part of the system. None understands the household. Perfect. The retainers guide Mara toward the surgical frame. She walks willingly. Every undead servant in the courtyard watches. Caldra locks Mara's wrists beneath silver clamps. The chain arm remains hidden under the sleeve. A restraint closes around her throat, another around her waist. The final mechanism opens over her sternum. 12 surgical instruments rise around the hidden bell. Bastion turns toward the Holy Knights. This is a demonstration only. He places a boundary stone beside the frame. Pell activates it. Golden light forms a narrow square. The ledger immediately recognizes the artificial jurisdiction. Mara's household bonuses vanish inside it. Her eye flames dim. The visible servants stop moving. A cook drops a tray. A maid collapses against a pillar. 3 porters fall into loose bone. Gasps spread through the courtyard. Bastion's confidence becomes radiant. Observe. The entire force depends on contractual territory. True enough to be convincing. false enough to kill him later. Caldra inserts a silver needle between Mara's ribs. Blue fire crawls along the instrument. The surgeon's expression sharpens. I have contact with the relic. Mara's pain reaches me through the soul link. Cold. Precise. She does not struggle. I feel the black chains inside her artificial arm uncoil. They could kill every person around the surgical wagon within seconds. She waits. Not because I order her. Because she understands the plan. The bond between us has changed. At first, she follows commands. Then she interprets duties. Now she anticipates outcomes. Another step toward the unnamed evolution. Caldra twists the needle. The bell inside Mara rings. A voice whispers through every dead servant's skull. Not yet. The previous housekeeper. Or the household memory. I cannot tell. Mara's right eye flame ignites inside the boundary field. Caldra jerks back. That should not happen. Bastion's smile weakens. Only for a moment. Residual energy. Elowen walks closer. Her solar seal responds with a black pulse. She recognizes the old household. She hides it quickly. Not quickly enough. Mela sees. So do I. Mara sees through my eyes. The bond carries the observation between us. Elowen knows the bell is waking. Yet, she allows the procedure. Her goal is not controlled transfer. She wants the memory exposed inside a prepared purification field. Then erased. Bastion wants an army. Elowen wants silence. Caldra wants the relic. 3 incompatible victories sharing one surgical frame. I barely need to interfere. I only need each of them to believe they remain ahead. Caldra withdraws the needle. The extraction path is viable. Bastion exhales. Can you complete it when the contract ends? Yes. Elowen speaks before the surgeon can continue. The relic must first be consecrated. Bastion turns. That was not agreed. It contains contaminated testimony. The courtyard quiets. Elowen realizes her mistake. Bastion's eyes narrow. Testimony? Residual impressions. Of what? Dead servants remember nothing. Mara's twin flames flare. The boundary stone cracks. One thin line. No more. The empty ring on her polearm spins again despite the weapon resting 20 feet away. Final inspection flashes across the ledger. Still locked. The activation conditions appear for less than a second. Complete household census. Recorded confession from the responsible authority. Recognition by living witnesses. Sanctified courtroom or equivalent jurisdiction. Then the words vanish. I memorize them. A census. A confession. Witnesses. A court. The final skill is not an attack. It is a judgment mechanism. Talk about a perfectly appropriate evolution. I look at Malus. She stands on the tribunal balcony. A sanctified court already exists inside the fortress. The dead prepare testimony. Bastion is confessing through arrogance. Hundreds of living witnesses hear him. Only the census remains incomplete. The old household contains names we have not recovered. The full moon may reveal them. Mara's future form is not waiting for more combat power. It is waiting for a completed case. I understand the shape of the finale now. Not every detail. Enough. Bastion steps close to Elowen. What testimony? The prior lowers her voice. The grave courier perched above them hears every word. The black bell stores the last memories of workers who died during the old contamination event. You told me the archive was destroyed. It was sealed. You said the servants became feral. They became accusatory. Bastion becomes still. His father controls the Crow office during the incident. Bastion may inherit more than a title. He may inherit guilt. Elowen grips his sleeve. Once the bell is removed, I will purify the memory. You will receive the empty command relic. Bastion looks toward Mara, then toward the 300 employment seals. He calculates. For one moment, suspicion appears. He sees that Elowen withholds information. He sees that the relic may expose House Crow. He sees that the church plans to erase something before giving him control. This should make him retreat. Instead, he smiles. Greed provides the answer he wants. If memories exist, he says, they can be edited. Caldra hears him. The surgeon's eyes brighten. She touches one of the command overriding instruments on her coat. Bastion continues. We extract the bell. We remove the accusations. We preserve the labor instincts. Elowen says nothing. That silence becomes agreement. There. The alliance repairs itself around a worse crime. Mara records every word. The 14th ring gains a thin black key. Only its teeth remain unfinished. The boundary demonstration ends. Pell deactivates the stone. Household dominion returns. The collapsed servants rebuild. Mara's flames reignite completely. Cauldra unlocks the surgical frame. Before anyone can touch her, Mara rises. She adjusts every restraint into perfect alignment. Then she closes the surgeon's instrument case. Cauldra stares. Mara points at a bloodstain on the silver needle. The surgeon slowly wipes it clean. Even restrained, Mara assigns standards. Bastion laughs again. Enjoy your final night together. He walks toward me. The entire courtyard watches. Tomorrow, the contract expires. Your servants become mine. Your maid becomes mine. Your ledger becomes mine. He leans close enough for me to smell the expensive spice on his breath. And once the transfer is complete, we will light your execution fire ourselves. I look past him. Mara stands beside the surgical frame. Her twin flames remain calm. The unfinished black key hangs from the 14th ring of her weapon. Beneath the fortress, the Black Archivist copies Bastion's confession into 3 sealed ledgers. The linen mistress stitches witness names into funeral cloth. Chief Porter moves inactive frames toward the tribunal foundations. Furnace Chef prepares black salt to preserve any soul attempting to escape judgment. Malus quietly unlocks the old courtroom. Everything is moving. Every component. Every witness. Every lie. I return my gaze to Bastion. Then I suppose tomorrow will be busy. He mistakes the answer for resignation. His smile reaches its absolute peak. House Crow banners rise over the southern wall. Employment seals are distributed to officers. Boundary stones are placed around the fortress. Cauldra prepares the surgical theater. Eloin fills the chapel with purification oil. Bastion orders a throne-like command chair carried into the accounting hall. Mara takes one look at the gaudy structure. Then she assigns 2 undead porters to move it beside the latrines. No one notices until nightfall. By then, Bastion is too drunk on victory to ask who does it. I stand above the hidden furnace as the final hours of the contract begin to disappear. 16 hours. Then 15. Then 14. Mara joins me at the household map. The incomplete black key turns beneath her polearm. One final tooth forms. The ledger displays a single message. Evolution ready upon lawful inspection of the complete household. Mara looks toward the tribunal chamber above us. I close the ledger. Let them celebrate. The silent bell rings once. Every dead servant beneath the western fortress bows toward the courtroom. Tomorrow, House Crow expects to inherit an army. Instead, it is reporting for inspection. The final day of my contract begins with Bastion counting maids. That is how I know fear has entered the room. He stands in the eastern courtyard before sunrise, holding a silver tally rod while Pelrin reads names from a crow employment register. One undead servant steps forward with each name. A cook, a porter, a laundress, a records clerk, a maid with half a skull and an absolutely immaculate apron. Bastion touches the tally rod to every sternum. The rod flashes gold. Pell marks the register. They repeat the process. Slowly, publicly, desperately. Bastion calls it verification. People only verify what they have started to doubt. I watch from the command balcony beside Malus. She wears tribunal black and pretends to guard me. 2 Ash Knights stand behind us. Both carry Brannick-resistant weapons Mara cleans during the night. Neither looks directly at the undead line below. The count is wrong, Malus says. Her lips barely move. It is supposed to be. Crow brought 300 seals. Yes. There are fewer than 50 servants in the courtyard. Yes. Yet his register contains 298 names. Also yes. She looks at me. You enjoy this. I enjoy accurate paperwork. That is not what I mean. Below us, Bastion reaches servant number 46. No one else steps forward. Pell checks the list, then checks it again. Where are the remaining workers? Bastion asks. Mara stands beside the tally platform. Her black bell uniform is spotless. The 14th key on her polearm remains incomplete. One final tooth is missing. She points toward the western laundry wing. Bastion sends 6 armed retainers to search it. They return with nothing. He sends 12 more toward the kitchens. Nothing. He orders the cellar doors opened. Empty rooms. Cold furnaces. Clean floors. No hidden army. Exactly as prepared. The real household waits beneath the tribunal foundations, beyond walls Bastion does not know exist. The visible servants are only a shell A convincing one. Bastion grips the tally rod harder. The contract lists 263 active retainers. Pell lowers his voice. The necromancer may have dismissed them before transfer. That would reduce their value. Yes. He would rather destroy them than surrender them. Yes. That proves he is afraid. Pell hesitates. Only for a second. Or it proves the register is false. There it is. The first crack. Small, sharp, dangerous. Bastion turns toward him. Pell immediately lowers his gaze. The register bears system residue. Bastion says. Residue can be imitated. The boundary test succeeds. Because the maid crosses a jurisdictional seal. The relic surgeon confirms. The bell. Caldra confirms there is a relic inside her sternum. She does not confirm it stores the household. Bastion looks toward Mara. Her twin flames burn without emotion. The courtyard becomes painfully quiet. Even the living servants stop working. Pell continues because he has already stepped too far to retreat gracefully. We have never seen the full command network. Bastion's jaw tightens. We see the servants obey. We see some servants obey. That lands. Bastion looks at the 47 undead standing in rows. Then at the 300 crow seals. Then at me. For the first time, his confidence does not fill the courtyard. It leaks. I say nothing. Silence makes doubt louder. Mara turns one of the 13 completed keys on her polearm. The cook key. Every visible undead cook steps forward in perfect synchronization. Bastion watches. She turns the porter key. The porters move. Then the records key. The clerks lift their ledgers. Simple demonstrations. Small truths supporting a larger lie. The household hierarchy is real. The missing workers are real. The bell is real. Only Bastion's conclusion is false. That makes the conclusion difficult to abandon. Caldra Morn enters the courtyard carrying a silver extraction saw. The network is distributed, she says. Everyone turns toward her. The surgeon walks to Mara. She places one hand against the sternum emblem. The bell emits multiple soul frequencies. How many? Bastion asks. More than 200. Pell's expression changes. Caldra smiles. She enjoys being the person who knows more than everyone else. The absent servants remain connected, she continues. They are merely outside visible range. Bastion exhales. Relief arrives too quickly, too eagerly. He wants the explanation. That matters more than whether it is correct. Pell still looks uncertain. Where? Caldra taps Mara's chest. Stored as dormant patterns. Wrong again. Beautifully wrong. She believes the old household memories inside the bell are inactive servant bonds. Her instruments detect hundreds of voices. She assumes hundreds of workers. A reasonable mistake. A profitable one. Bastion's confidence returns stronger than before. The workers are compressed into the relic. Possibly, Caldra says. Possibly becomes certainty inside his face. He turns toward Pell. You see? Pell looks at the surgeon. Then at Mara. Then at the empty courtyard. I see a theory. Bastion steps closer. A theory supported by every test. Except the count. The count is inside the bell. That is convenient. Bastion's white glove closes around Pell's collar. The movement is sudden. Ugly. Convenience is not evidence of fraud. No, Pell says carefully. But it is often evidence of design. The courtyard stills. Bastion releases him. For one heartbeat, I think Pell may survive this story through caution. Then Bastion notices the living servants listening. He smiles. Not kindly. Double his transfer bonus. Pell blinks. What? You identified a risk. You have done your duty. Bastion turns toward the employment seals. We will account for the uncertainty by increasing the number of control layers. There it is. Doubt does not make him retreat. It makes him invest more. Exactly as the trap requires. He orders every crow seal reinforced with a second command inscription. He orders Caldra to prepare 3 extraction anchors instead of 1. He orders 6 boundary stones overlapped around the tribunal chamber. He orders armed retainers placed at every exit. Then he sends a messenger to bring the reserve wagon carrying 50 additional seals. More money. More personnel. More witnesses. More liabilities attached to a false conclusion. Pell watches the orders leave. His face remains pale. Bastion mistakes that for respect. I recognize it as the expression of a man realizing he may be standing beneath a falling building. Malus leans toward me. He almost sees it. Almost as expensive. What happens if he sees it completely? He will not. You sound certain. I sound observant. Bastion walks toward the command balcony. His boots strike the stones with renewed confidence. He stops beneath me. The transfer will take place inside the Ash Tribunal. Malus looks down at him. That chamber is under my authority. You accepted command of 50 undead guards. Her face becomes cold. A good performance. You offered them, and you accepted. Pending lawful transfer. He smiles. Then make it lawful. The tribunal knights behind us shift. Bastion notices. He likes the tension. He believes money has turned Malus. He believes ambition has turned Aloan. He believes curiosity has turned Caldra. He believes necessity has turned Othric's soldiers. He sees every person as a price. That makes him easy to guide. People who believe everyone can be purchased rarely ask what happens after payment. Malus descends the balcony stairs. She stops one step above him. The tribunal opens at the 9th bell. Bastion bows. Excellent. The chamber recognizes testimony, evidence, and confessed authority. His smile does not change. Of course. You understand that statements made inside become part of the permanent tribunal record. I have nothing to hide. The lie enters the courtyard cleanly. Mara's 14th key gains another thin line of black metal. Not the final tooth. Close. Recognition by living witnesses. Sanctified courtroom. Recorded confession. 3 conditions move toward completion. Only the household census remains. The full moon rises tomorrow night. Too late for Bastion's transfer. Unless I accelerate the old memory network. Dangerous. Necessary. Malus glances at Mara. Mara gives one small nod. The courtroom is ready. The testimony is almost ready. The enemy is definitely ready. The remaining question is whether I am willing to wake hundreds of dead voices before the moon does it for me. I am. Mostly. Caldra orders Mara back into the surgical wagon. This time, the frame contains 3 silver anchors. One clamps over the sternum. One surrounds the spine. One hangs above the skull like an inverted crown. Aloan approaches with the 7 solar seals floating behind her. Each relic burns brighter than the last. The clean seal Mara repairs now shines without corruption. Aloan does not realize Mara leaves a household mark beneath the purification layer, a tiny black key hidden inside the golden sun. One mark, one access point, one future failure. Chekhov appreciates preparation. Aloan lifts the first seal. Preliminary consecration begins now. I step from the balcony. 2 tribunal knights move with me. Not restraining. Performing restraint. Bastion watches closely. I allow one knight to hold my shoulder. I allow another to take the ledger from beneath my coat. The ledger bites him. He nearly drops it. I catch it before it touches the stones. Careful, I say. It dislikes poor handling. Bastion's eyes lock onto the book. Greed erases the last of his caution. How many contracts are stored inside? Enough. How many souls? Enough. How much authority? I smile. Not enough for you. He laughs. The answer reassures him. He thinks I am trying to protect value. He does not understand that the ledger is almost irrelevant to the final mechanism. The household no longer exists only inside the book. It exists in Mara, in the supervisors, in the service marks, in every voluntary exchange, in every repaired shield, in every knight who accepts a clean cloak, in every servant who hears Bastion promise to replace the living with the dead. Dependency has become jurisdiction. Influence has become recognition. Recognition will become judgment. The machine is already larger than the ledger. Bastion just has not noticed. Aloan activates the first solar seal. Golden light strikes Mara. Her bones glow through the uniform. The hidden bell rings once. Old voices whisper beneath the sound. Names. Fragments. Occupations. Deaths. The black archivist records them below ground. A laundress named Selamar. A kitchen boy named Tovin Reed. A stable woman named Harapin. A porter named Josvale. One by one. Not enough for a complete census. Enough to begin. Caldra watches her instruments. The dormant patterns are awakening. Bastion steps closer. How many? 37. A lie produced by misunderstanding. 37 names. Not 37 servants. He smiles anyway. Continue. Aloan activates the second seal. Mara's chain arm tightens beneath the sleeve. Pain moves through our bond. I send one pulse. Hold. She answers with one. Ready. The third seal lights. More names enter the ledger. The fourth. More memories. The fifth, the courtyard disappears from Mara's perception. She sees old fire, locked gates, workers begging, Bastion's father signing the evacuation ledger, Elowen, younger, standing beside a priest with the same silver veil, Kaldra's predecessor holding the original extraction tools. The system floods me with alerts. Household memory synchronization increasing. Census incomplete. Witness network expanding. Elite retainer stability falling. I tighten the kill chain hidden beneath my sleeve. Not yet. The sixth seal activates. Mara's right eye flame becomes white. Every undead servant in the fortress stops. The 47 visible workers turn toward Elowen. Below ground, 216 hidden retainers turn toward the tribunal chamber. The unraised frames begin lifting their hands. Kaldra's instruments scream. Pell steps backward. This is not dormancy. Bastion looks at him. What? These are not stored labor patterns. Kaldra says nothing. Her face has lost its clinical amusement. She knows now. Not everything. Enough. The voices inside the bell are people. Not commands. Not tools. Witnesses. Pell looks toward Bastion. We should stop. The words are quiet. They still reach everyone. Bastion stares at Mara. Then at the employment seals. Then at the gold already paid. The specialists already summoned. The retainers already moved. The promises already made. The future monopoly already announced. Retreat would mean admitting he does not understand the relic. Worse, it would mean surrendering the workforce he has already claimed in public. His pride and greed close around the same decision. No, he says. Pell's face falls. Bastion steps beside Elowen. We proceed. The network is unstable, Kaldra says. Then stabilize it. The entities inside the bell possess memory. Then remove the memory. Elowen looks at him. Bastion does not notice her fear. He points toward Mara as though she is cargo. We are not abandoning 300 tireless workers because dead servants developed opinions. The sentence enters the household. Exact. Complete. Recorded by every active retainer. The 14th key on Mara's polearm forms its final tooth. A system alert flashes across my vision. Confession threshold reached. Bastion hears only silence. I hear the mechanism lock into place. One condition remains. Complete household census. The 7th solar seal rises. Elowen hesitates. Just once. Then greed, fear, and self-preservation align. She activates it. Golden fire fills the courtyard. The bell inside Mara rings without sound. Far beneath us, one tiny object moves. A bone nameplate slides from an old furnace wall. It falls onto the black archivist's desk. The silver letters are almost erased. He brushes away the ash. One final name appears. Maravin, the last servant standing. The census line in the ledger closes. No explosion follows. No army rises. No one screams. Only the incomplete black key on Mara's polearm turns once. A soft click passes through the soul link. Final inspection becomes available. I look at Bastion. He is still smiling. The entire machine is ready. He has no idea. The 9th bell rings, and House Crow attempts to purchase the dead. The Ash Tribunal doors close behind 300 witnesses. Holy Knights fill the upper galleries. Living servants stand along the rear wall under armed guard. House Crow retainers surround the central floor. 6 boundary stones form a golden hexagon around Mara's surgical frame. 300 employment seals cover the judgment table like coins prepared for an offering. Bastion sits in the tribunal chair. He moved it back from the latrines personally. The smell remains. A small victory for household justice. I stand inside an iron circle beneath Melis's balcony. Chains hang from my wrists. They are not locked. The performance still matters. Elowen occupies the witness platform beneath all 7 solar seals. Caldramorn waits beside Mara with her extraction instruments open. Pell holds the transfer register. His hands shake every time he turns a page. Everyone has chosen a position. Everyone believes they understand the ceremony. Only the dead know it is an inspection. Melis strikes the tribunal stone with the pommel of her sword. State the purpose of the proceeding. Bastion rises. To transfer all temporary undead labor operating within the Western Fortress into the lawful possession of House Crow. The tribunal. Walls record his voice in golden script. Melis looks toward Elowen. Does the church recognize the transfer? Elowen's silver veil hides most of her expression. The church recognizes the temporary preservation of useful functions. provided all contaminated memories are removed. The walls record that too. Cauldra glances at her. Removing memory was not included in my surgical contract. Bastion does not even turn. You will be paid for the adjustment. It may damage the command structure. Then repair it. The structure may contain autonomous souls. Then erase them. The golden script grows brighter. Mara's 14th key turns once. Final inspection waits. Not yet. The tribunal needs action, not merely confession. Bastion places his white-gloved hand on the first employment seal. Begin. Pell reads the prepared declaration. Upon expiration of the military sanitation contract, all active and dormant labor patterns associated with the Black Bell will recognize House Crow as sole employer. The first seal ignites. Then the second. Then 10. Then 50. Golden command script rises from the table and stretches toward Mara's sternum. The hidden bell answers. Every old voice inside it wakes. The tribunal floor trembles. Bastion smiles. Cauldra inserts the first extraction needle. Aloan raises the solar seals. Pell reads faster. The final hour of Othric's contract disappears from the ledger. 1 minute. 30 seconds. 10. I feel every servant bond narrow. Mara looks at me. Her twin flames remain steady. 5, 4, 3. Bastion lifts both hands. Prepare to receive command. 2, 1. The sanitation contract ends. 263 active bonds vanish from the ledger. Mara's eye flames go dark. Every visible undead servant collapses. The galleries erupt. Bones strike stone. Tools roll beneath benches. The black-silver repairs inside Mara's body lose their light. Her skull drops forward. Bastion laughs. The sound echoes through the tribunal. Mine. House Crow activates all 300 employment seals. Golden hooks tear into the empty spaces where my bonds used to exist. For one brutal second, I feel them attach. Not to the servants. To me. The seals identify the ledger as the source of authority. 300 commands drive through my hands, spine, and skull. Kneel. Release. Surrender. Transfer. My legs buckle. I hit the tribunal floor hard enough to split my lip. The first stage begins. Receive the blow. Let them watch me fall. The iron circle around me ignites. Brannock's copied command pattern fills the chains on my wrists. Bastion improves the seals exactly as Pell recommends. More layers. More anchors. More investment. Every reinforcement now drives into the wrong target. Me. Pain becomes absolute. My vision goes white. The ledger drops from my coat. Bastion leaves the tribunal chair. He walks toward it. Did you truly believe I would let a grave clerk keep a workforce worth more than an army? I try to rise. The seals force me down. Eloan's solar light burns across my back. Cauldra begins cutting into Mara's sternum. A thin crack opens between her ribs. The silent bell appears beneath the bone. Silver. Blackened. Covered in names. The old household screams through the tribunal. The sound enters every skull at once. Living servants collapse against the rear wall. Holy knights cover their ears. House Crow retainers lose formation. Bastion remains standing. Barely. He points toward the bell. Remove the memories. Eloan releases the first purification wave. Golden fire pours over Mara. Names burn away from the bell's surface. Selamar. Tovin Reed. Hara Pin. Joss Vale. Each erased name produces a human scream. The tribunal walls record all of them. Malus's face turns savage. Prior Voss, cease purification. Eloan ignores her. Bastion grabs the ledger. It bites through his glove. Black teeth close around 2 fingers. He tears his hand free with a scream. Pell drops the register. Cauldra presses a second tool into Mara's ribs. The bell moves. Not outward. Deeper. Mara's black-silver chest closes around it. Cauldra steps back. That is impossible. Bastion clutches his bleeding hand. Cut it out. The relic is integrating. Then remove the entire sternum. Mara's head rises. Both sockets remain dark. Still, her hand closes around Caudra's wrist. Slowly, the surgeon freezes. Mara does not attack. Not yet. She simply prevents the third needle from entering. I remain on my knees. 300 seals continue forcing commands through my body. That is the second stage. Read the enemy. Every seal contains 3 components. A crow ownership mark, Brannock's obedience pattern, a boundary anchor tied to the tribunal floor. The system is elegant. Ownership identifies the target. Obedience overwrites resistance. The boundary stones trap the command inside a recognized jurisdiction. The problem is not the seals. The problem is what Bastion uses to make them convincing. My forged authority stain. The black material from the ledger's inner cover. Hell copies it into the reinforcement ink. Every employment seal now carries a fragment of my necromantic signature. That is why they attach to me. That is also why they are connected to my bone aura. The trap works because Bastion spends 6 days strengthening a false transfer mechanism with the same stolen ledger residue I place on the forged page in the furnace registry. He does not steal my army. He builds a network directly into my class. I press both palms against the tribunal floor. The boundary stones flare. Bastion sees the movement. Hold him down. 20 crow retainers enter the iron circle. Sanctified boots strike my ribs. One spear pierces my shoulder. Another tears through my coat. I let the pain spread. I let the seals believe they are winning. Then I activate bone aura. Not as a circle, not through one weapon, through all 300 employment marks at once. The compressed technique I test against a single cleansing night in the courtyard now expands across the entire tribunal network. Every crow seal becomes a contact point. Every contact point becomes a bone command. Lower. Weaken. Yield. The first retainer stops moving. His strength leaves through the gold seal on his breastplate. The second drops his spear. The third collapses. 100 black lines spread across the tribunal floor. Bone aura enters every soldier, priest, surgeon, and official linked to the transfer ceremony. Bastion feels at last. His knees strike the judgment platform. What is happening? I lift my head. Blood runs from my mouth. Payroll deduction. Then I pull. Strength floods into my skeleton. Endurance follows. Speed. Pain resistance. Sanctified reinforcement. 300 small thefts become one massive transfer. My broken shoulder snaps back into place. The spear wound closes around the metal. I stand. The crow retainers cannot. Their armor becomes too heavy for their bodies. Their swords fall from numb hand. Eloan solar seals flicker, as the priests supporting them lose spiritual output. Caldra's fingers weaken around her tools. Hell crawls toward the tribunal doors. Bastion stares at the employment mark on his glove. Black veins spread from it to his elbow. Break the seals, he shouts. Hell looks back at him. You ordered them reinforced. Break them. They share one command lattice. Then shut down the boundary stones. Eloan turns on him. If the boundary falls, the dead voices leave the chamber. Then purify them. You said they could be edited. You said they could be erased. Caldra pulls against Mara's grip. The bell is using my extraction anchors to root itself into the court. Eloan's face drains. You connected it to the tribunal? You ordered consecration. Bastion looks from one woman to the other. His alliance finally sees itself clearly. No one shares a victory. Every promise is incompatible. They begin shouting. Bastion accuses Eloan of hiding the old incident. Eloan accuses Caldra of awakening autonomous souls. Caldra accuses Bastion of falsifying the surgical purpose. Hell tries to burn the transfer register. The black archivist rises from beneath the judgment table and takes it from him. Hell screams. The skeleton clerk adjusts the pages, then he stamps them received. The third stage truly begins. I tear the unlocked chains from my wrists. Mara. Her eye flames ignite. Blue, then gold, then black around the edges. She releases Caldra. The surgeon falls backward. Mara reaches into her own chest. Her chain arm passes between the ribs without breaking them. She grips the silent bell. The tribunal shakes. Final inspection, I say. She rings it. The sound is not loud. It is complete. Every hidden door beneath the tribunal opens. Bone stairs rise through the floor. The living witnesses scream as my underground household enters. Chief Porter leads 40 ash porters carrying reserve frames. Linen mistress follows with 30 laundresses holding funeral cloth stitched with names. Furnace chef marches beside 12 emergency butchers. The black archivist's clerks carry 3 sealed copies of Bastion's confessions. 13 furnace watchdogs climb from the judgment pits with black fire burning between their ribs. Behind them come the rest. 263 active retainers rebuild under Mara's new authority. Then the prepared skeletons awaken, 20 at a time. 40, 80, 100. The tribunal fills with blue eyes. The system recognizes the completed census, the recorded confessions, the living witnesses, and the sanctified court. Mara's incomplete 14th key becomes solid black metal. She places it into the air. A keyhole appears across the tribunal floor. She turns it. The entire courtroom becomes household jurisdiction, not borrowed from Othric, not granted by Bastion, established by testimony. A system alert blazes across my vision. Autonomous domain recognized. Black Bell household founded. Temporary retainers converted. 263 lesser retainers become permanent domain residents. 120 prepared frames rise as Ash household guards. 36 elite service units established. 13 furnace watchdogs advance to plague firehounds. 5 supervisors advance to senior retainers. Mara's title changes. Black Bell housekeeper becomes Black Bell adjudicator. Her polearm unfolds. The feather duster quills become black blades. The key ring expands into a halo of 14 rotating seals. Her missing arms chains spread through the courtroom and attach to every guilty employment mark. She looks at Bastion. He tries to crawl backward. Stop her, he tells Aloan. Aloan raises the 7 solar seals. Mara turns the hidden household marks inside them. 7 black keys appear and 7 golden suns. The seals reverse. Purification fire falls on House Crow. Bastion's retainers scream as their stolen buffs tear free. Mara captures every blessing inside her lantern. Then she opens it over my army. Golden power pours across 500 undead bodies. Bone armor becomes sanctified black steel. Broken tools become weapons. Blue flames become white at the center. The holy knights in the galleries finally understand. This is not a collection of servants. It is a state. Bastion points at me with a trembling hand. You planned this. Most of it. The missing workers. Below your feet. The false registry. Real names. Wrong conclusion. The bell transfer. Your favorite mistake. His face collapses. Then desperation replaces pride. He looks toward Malus. Call the hidden master. The Justiciar remains on the balcony. What hidden master? The one controlling the household memory. The old necromancer. The spirit beneath the fortress. Whoever built this. He truly cannot accept that the condemned clerk before him creates the entire machine. I step onto the judgment platform. 500 undead turn with me. Bastion stares. Understanding arrives slowly. Painfully. No. I open the black ledger. The household map now covers every page. There is no hidden master. His mouth moves without sound. I look down at him. There is only the employee you tried not to pay. The plague firehounds attack. House Crow's remaining soldiers raise shields. The battle lasts less than 3 minutes. They receive the first charge well. Sanctified formations crush 20 ash guards. Cauldra activates surgical blades that sever soul links. Eloan burns a path toward the chapel door. Bastion hides behind the tribunal chair. I observe. The hound's fire cannot penetrate Crow shield scripture from the front. The surgical blades require a direct line to Mara. Eloan's seals still respond to household marks, but resist full control at close range. I adjust. Linen Mistress throws funeral cloth over the shield formation. The names stitched into it trigger the tribunal record. Every soldier sees the worker his house abandons. Their formation breaks. Mara's chain arm catches Caldra's surgical frame and folds it around the surgeon like a cage. Furnace Chef sends black salt across Eloan's escape route. The solar light crystallizes under her feet. Then Mara performs the secondary strike. She turns the 14th key. Inspection failed. Every Crow employment seal detonates inward, not with fire. With ownership reversal. The command pattern brands its employer instead of its servant. House Crow retainers collapse beneath the labor restrictions they designed for the dead. No rest. No refusal. No independent movement. They become conscious prisoners inside their own bodies. The army stops fighting. The 4th stage arrives. I walk through the fallen. 106 hostile souls rise from dead and dying Crow soldiers. I absorb 84. The remaining 22 belong to prisoners still alive. Those stay where they are. 840 lesser soul units compress into 84 grave measures. 12 Ash Guards advance to Blackrib veterans. 6 Plague Firehounds become elite Cinder Hounds. The Chief Porter's frame expands into a massive 4-armed carrier capable of moving siege weapons. The Linen Mistress gains Soul Shroud, allowing her cloth to preserve testimony against purification. Furnace Chef gains Sanctified Rendering. Mara gains Nothing Visible. She stands at the center of the tribunal with 14 keys rotating behind her skull. The evolution is not complete. Not yet. This is authority. The final form still waits beyond it. Bastion sees the difference. He sees that even this is not my full strength. For the first time, true horror strips every performance from his face. The tribunal doors open, not because he orders them, because Mara decides the room is clean enough for the outside world to see. Hundreds of holy knights crowd the courtyard. Living servants stand behind them. They look past me. They look at the 500 undead occupying a sanctified court. They look at House Crow kneeling beneath its own employment seals. They look at Alolan trapped inside crystallized light. They look at Cauldra folded into her surgical frame. Then they look at Bastion crawling through the ashes of his transfer ceremony. He reaches for my boot. Help me. The words are barely human. I step away. He looks toward the army behind me. Please. Whatever controls them, tell it to stop. Mara walks to my side. The silent bell inside her chest rings once. Every undead bows. Bastion finally understands who he has been begging. I close the ledger. No. Outside, House Crow's banners catch fire without anyone touching them. Inside, the tribunal walls finish recording every confession. The first punishment has not begun. The trap has only closed. The first blade aimed at my throat belongs to Malus. That is almost disappointing. Almost. One moment, House Crow kneels beneath its own employment seals. The next, the Justiciar drives her black-edged sword into the tribunal stone. Golden chains explode from every wall. They wrap around Mara. They wrap around the Black Archivist. They wrap around all 500 undead standing inside the courtroom. Then they wrap around me. A system alert burns across my vision. Sovereign Tribunal judgment invoked. All unlawful entities detained pending final verdict. The household freezes. Mara's 14 keys stop rotating. The Plague Firehounds collapse onto their ribs. Every blue flame in the chamber shrinks to a pinprick. Malus stands above us with both hands on her sword. Her face contains no triumph. That makes it worse. You used me, I say. I used evidence. You signed Mara's invoice. I paid a lawful debt. You helped open the household court. I needed every guilty party inside one jurisdiction. Bastion stares at her from the floor. Relief crawls across his ruined face. You are arresting him? Malus looks down. I am arresting everyone. The answer destroys his relief. Good. Eloan tears 1 foot free from the crystallized holy light trapping her. The 7 solar seals flare behind her. You cannot judge the church. The tribunal judges acts. The church defines lawful acts. Then you should have written better laws. For half a second, I almost like Malus again. Then the golden chains around Mara tighten. Her sternum cracks. The hidden bell rings in pain. My almost disappears. The tribunal doors burst inward. Othric enters beneath the white gold banner of Western Command. His army fills the courtyard behind him. Not all of it. 300 cavalry riders, 500 infantry, 40 shield apostles carrying fortress-grade barrier towers. He returns faster than he should. Turns out, the Northern March is never a deployment. It is a waiting formation. Othric expects House Crow to move. He expects the church to move. He expects me to reveal my army. He positions his soldiers 1 day away and waits for the signal. Talk about patience arriving inside an extremely unpleasant package. He walks through the dead House Crow banners and surveys the tribunal. 500 undead, 300 weakened Crow retainers, 7 corrupted solar seals, 1 chained necromancer. His eyes settle on me. You concealed a military force beneath my fortress. I cleaned your tunnels. You created a sovereign domain. Your officers signed the maintenance reports. You have no authority here. The exact words from the chapel. The exact belief. He raises his sword. A white command aura spreads through the Western Army. By emergency military law, every undead asset inside this fortress is seized for the defense of the Dominion. Mara's head lifts. Her eye flames remain small. Still, the elder flame burns with absolute hatred. Othric is not responsible for the old fire. The dead testimony confirms that. He is responsible for this. He sees 500 people. He calls them assets. Apparently, innocence has an expiration date. Malus turns toward him. The tribunal has not issued judgment. Your tribunal stands inside my fortress. The Ash Charter predates your command. My soldiers outnumber your knights 10 to 1. Then your arithmetic may testify after you. Othric's jaw tightens. Bastion begins laughing. Softly, then harder. Everyone looks at him. He kneels beneath the tribunal chair with blood covering his glove. His employment seals still bind his retainers to the floor. Yet he laughs as though the world finally makes sense. "You are all thieves," he says. "Every last one of you." Elowen tears her second foot free. Caldra twists inside the surgical cage. Mara folds around her. Pell hides beneath the witness table. Othric's soldiers fill the galleries. Malus's tribunal chains restrain my household. 4 authorities claim the same room. None intends to share. The structure becomes clear. Malus controls judgment. Othric controls military force. Elowen controls sanctified energy. Bastion controls the employment network. Each layer alone is insufficient. Together, they can dismantle the household. If they cooperate. They hate each other. That helps. Not enough. Elowen raises the first solar seal. "Prior Voss," Malus warns. "You delayed purification once," Elowen says. "I will not permit another necromantic state to survive." Golden fire descends. The tribunal chains conduct it. Every restrained undead ignites. The household screams through the soul link. Not with voices. With pressure, hundreds of identities crushed into one brutal wave. Mara burns brightest. The black-silver arm melts at the elbow. 3 keys shatter behind her skull. The hidden bell begins losing names. I feel them vanish. Selah Mar. Tovin Reed. Hara Pin. Joss Vale. Workers who wait 23 years to testify disappear beneath holy fire. Not dead again. Erased. My knees strike the floor. Malus's chains force my head down. Othric's command aura seals the exits. Bastion's employment network drains the strength I steal during the trap. Elowen's seals burn the dead. Every layer supports the next. That is the first stage. Receive the blow. This one hurts. Actually hurts. Not the body. I have rebuilt bones before. Not the army. I can raise replacements. It hurts because Mara feels every disappearing name. She does not cry. She cannot. Her soul link folds inward around each loss and keeps working. She tries to preserve the memories while her own body burns. I feel the woman she was. Maraven. The maid holding a servant gate open while fire takes her back. The last worker standing. The first one blamed. Elowen's second seal ignites. Another 20 names disappear. Something inside me changes. Not loudly. Not nobly. I become angry. Truly angry. Not irritated because a plan shifts. Not cold because an enemy wastes resources. Not amused because an arrogant man misunderstands a contract. This is clean. Personal. Savage. I do not want Elowen defeated. I want her to understand the exact second her power stops belonging to her. The realization feels disturbingly good. Mara turns her skull toward me. Her left flame sees the present. Her right flame carries the dead. Both are fading. I pull once against Malus's chains. They hold. I stop struggling. The second stage begins. I read the room. Malus's judgment chains originate from written testimony carved into the tribunal walls. Othric's military seizure travels through his soldiers' oath brands. Elowen's solar fire uses the chains as a sanctified transmission grid. Bastion's employment marks remain embedded beneath all 3 systems because the transfer ceremony creates the shared jurisdiction. 4 authorities. 1 lattice. Again. They keep building networks around me. Again. They keep connecting those networks to my class. Again. People truly refuse to learn. I lower my head. Bastion sees surrender. His laughter returns. You should have stayed in the grave office. I say nothing. Elowen activates the 3rd seal. Mara loses another key. Caldra finally tears one hand free from the surgical cage. She reaches for the bell through the bars. Greed remains astonishingly durable. Malus notices. "Surgeon, stop." Caldra ignores her. She inserts a silver hook through Mara's ribs. The hidden bell catches. Mara convulses. Every servant chain inside the tribunal jerks at once. Caldra smiles. "I have it." Bastion crawls closer. "Remove it," Elowen says. "Purify it first." Othric says. "The relic falls under military seizure." Malus says. "Touch it again and I remove your hand." 4 authorities. No alliance. Only timing. I wait until all 4 pull. Caldra pulls the bell physically. Elowen pulls its sanctified memory. Othric pulls its command rights. Malus pulls its legal identity into tribunal custody. The lattice reaches maximum tension. Then I open the black ledger. It lies 10 feet away. No hand touches it. Every page turns. Brannick's recorded command pattern rises from the paper. The white scripture centipede Mara captures in the lantern returns as black text. Preserve skill. Overwrite command. The pattern is ugly. Useful. Foreshadowed. Tested. Recorded. Ready. I feed it into bone aura. Not through one seal. Not through 300 marks. Through the entire authority lattice. The compressed aura enters Milas's chains first. It does not weaken metal. It weakens ownership. The tribunal recognizes Mara as detained evidence. I steal the detention. Golden chains loosen from her body and wrap around mine. My shoulders split under the weight. I accept it. Othric's military seizure recognizes the household as a defense asset. I steal the defense designation. Every undead servant becomes linked to my skeleton as an extension of fortress security. Eloan seals recognize the dead as contamination. I steal the contamination. Golden fire enters my bones instead of theirs. Bastion's employment network recognizes labor without rest. I steal the labor. Every command to kneel, surrender, and obey becomes a stored order inside the ledger. The lattice reverses, not all at once. Painfully, brutally, the courtroom begins bending toward me. Malus's sword cracks. Othric's soldiers stagger as their oath brands lose strength. Eloan's seals dim. Bastion's employment marks turn black. Caldra's extraction hook fuses to her hand. I rise beneath the combined weight of 4 systems. My skin burns away across both forearms. My ribs show through my coat. Black gold fire runs inside the bones. I feel hundreds of stolen attributes entering me. Strength from Othric's cavalry. Endurance from shield apostles. Purification resistance from Eloan's priests. Command precision from Malus's tribunal knights. Labor compulsion from House Crow. The ledger counts. 312 strength marks. 180 endurance marks. 74 sanctified resistance marks. 42 command marks. 300 labor seals. Too much. My skeleton begins cracking under the transfer. Mara sees it. She tears one hand free. Caldra pulls harder on the bell. Bad choice. Mara closes her fingers around the surgeon's extraction chain. Then she uses Caldra as leverage. She rips herself forward. The hidden bell tears halfway through her sternum. Her ribs explode outward. The sound reaches me through the soul link. For 1 second, her identity begins separating from the household memory. Mara Vin. Black Bell Housekeeper. Adjudicator. Last Servant. First Witness. Too many roles. No center. The system flashes a warning: elite retainer identity collapse imminent. I can sever the bond. Save the household. Lose Mara. Efficient. Cold. Logical. I hate the option so completely that the hatred clarifies everything. No, I say. The word stops the room. Not because it carries power. Because I have not raised my voice once since this begins. I pull the kill chain connected to her bell. Not outward. Toward me. The relic tears free from Caldra's hook and crosses the tribunal. Mara comes with it. Her broken body slams into my chest. The authority lattice floods through both of us. I place one hand over the bell, the other around her spine. You are not the household, I say. Her flames flicker. You command it. The elder flame expands. You are not their memory. The black keys begin turning again. You carry it. Her own flame returns. You are Maravin. The name strikes the bell harder than any spell. The old household answers. Every preserved voice speaks at once. Maravin, the last servant standing. The woman who opens the gate. The witness who survives through death. The system alert becomes absolute. Identity stabilized. Final inspection completed. Evolution condition fulfilled. Mara's body erupts. Not in light. In order. Every loose bone in the tribunal rises. Every broken key repairs. Every stolen chain straightens. The black-silver arm unfolds into 7 articulated lengths, each ending in a different household tool. A key, a needle, a cleaver, a bell, a brush, a ledger blade, a judge's hook. Her ruined apron transforms into layered black robes shaped like a maid's uniform and a tribunal mantle at once. 14 keys form a complete crown behind her skull. The silent bell settles inside her chest as a dark sun. Her title burns across the ledger. Mara Vin, Grand Housekeeper of the Last Household. Domain evolution complete. The tribunal chains release her. Not because Malus commands them, because Mara now outranks the room. She raises one hand. Every door closes. Every flame becomes blue. Every living witness receives a black service mark over the heart. Not slavery. Attendance. No one leaves before inspection ends. Authric shouts, Formation 7. His soldiers raise fortress barriers. Stage 3. Kaihua. I smile. This one reaches my eyes. Bone aura explodes through the authority lattice. Not 5%. Not one target. Not 300 seals. The entire Western army loses half its physical strength in one pulse. I take a quarter. The household takes the rest. 500 undead rise beneath stolen military attributes. Ash guards become Black Bastion servants. Plaguefire hounds grow armored spines and cathedral jaws. Chief Porter lifts an entire barrier tower and uses it as a hammer. Linen Mistress spreads soul shrouds across the galleries, protecting every dead name from purification. Furnace Chef absorbs solar fire into his ovens and exhales sanctified black flame. The battle becomes completely brutal. Authric Shield Apostles receive the first charge. They hold for 6 seconds. Mara turns the porter key. Every household worker pushes together. The barrier line slides backward across the tribunal floor. Holy boots tear trenches through stone. Sword saints leap over the shields. Mara turns the tailor key. Black measuring cords fill the air. They wrap wrists, elbows, knees, and throats. The sword saints lose formation before landing. Cinder hounds meet them in midair. Armor bends. Bones break. Golden blood rains across the witness benches. Eloan activates all 7 solar seals. Mara turns the hidden keys inside them. The first seal purifies House Crow. The second strips Othric's command aura. The third brands Kaldra's tools as contaminated evidence. The fourth seals the tribunal exits against priests. The fifth preserves the dead testimony. The sixth removes every blessing Eloan steals from subordinate clergy. The seventh turns toward its owner. Eloan's face collapses. No. Mara opens her lantern. 7 years of hoarded sanctified power pour out of the seals. Not into me. Into the living servants at the back of the courtroom. The washerwomen. The stable hands. The porters. The kitchen workers Bastion promises to replace. Golden armor forms around ordinary bodies. For the first time in the Dominion, non-knights receive holy reinforcement without awakening a class. Bastion sees it. His monopoly dies before he does. He crawls toward me. Stop this. I step over a fallen tribunal chain. He grabs my coat. Please. I look down. His face is wet. Blood. Tears. Possibly both. During the first tribunal, he smiles and says, "Even a dead woman would refuse to serve you." I remember every word. I kneel until our faces are level. Even a dead woman would refuse to serve you. His mouth opens. I point toward Mara. She stands above the battlefield with 14 keys turning behind her skull. 500 undead move at one gesture. Living servants wear stolen solar armor. House Crow kneels beneath its own employment brands. Turns out, I say, you were describing yourself. He begins begging properly then. Names, money, vaults, routes. He offers everything. I stand. No. Mara turns the judgment key. Every employment seal attached to Bastion tightens. He remains alive, conscious, unable to command even his own fingers. The refusal is complete. Kaldra tears the surgical hook from her fused hand and charges Mara. The surgeon moves fast, faster than any ordinary human. She activates 12 relic instruments at once. Blades target joints. Needles target soul lines. A silver saw targets the bell. Mara does not dodge. She turns the needle key. Every surgical instrument stops 1 inch from her body. Kaldra's own tools rotate. Slowly. They point back at her. The surgeon's eyes widen. Mara closes her fist. 12 instruments enter 12 extraction points. Kaldra does not scream long. Mara catches the falling blood in a basin before it touches the floor. Professional to the end. The decisive finish belongs to her. Eloan runs. Not toward the door. Toward the execution courtyard. She intends to ignite the original pyre and use its consecrated ash as a mass purification core. I see the plan through the solar marks. Mara sees it through the household. We move together. She sends 3 cinder hounds through the windows. I use bone aura to steal speed from 40 cavalry riders. The world slows. I cross the tribunal in a single breath. Eloan reaches the courtyard. Her hand touches the pyre. Mine closes around her wrist. She turns. For the first time, true panic strips the holiness from her face. Your hands are fit only for grave dirt, she whispers. The old insult, not defiance. Memory. She knows what comes next. I squeeze. Her wrist breaks. The grave dirt kept records. Mara arrives behind her. The 7 solar seals orbit the Grand Housekeeper now. Eloan drops to her knees. Please. I feel nothing gentle. Good. Before I answer, a military horn shakes the fortress. Othric stands on the command balcony with Malus beside him. Both are wounded. Neither is defeated. The High Marshal holds the fortress oath standard. The Justiciar holds the Ash Charter. Military law and tribunal law cross above them. A new system alert appears. Dual sovereign override detected. Domain destruction authorized by combined command. The western fortress begins tearing itself apart. Walls split. Holy foundations rise. The entire structure transforms into a massive execution formation designed to crush every undead soul inside. Othric looks at me. Malus looks at Mara. They have chosen law over survival, control over truth. The final battlefield expands beyond the tribunal. Good. I am finished hiding. Stage 4 waits. Absorption waits. Judgment waits. I open the ledger to every dead name beneath the fortress. Then I command the last household to clean the entire dominion. The western fortress tries to execute everyone inside it. Stone towers fold inward. Consecrated walls rotate like the teeth of a massive trap. Golden scripture rises from the foundations and covers the sky. Every corridor becomes a purification channel. Every chapel bell becomes a targeting beacon. Every grave beneath the courtyard opens. The Dominion does not build this place to protect its soldiers. It builds the fortress to kill them if they ever stop obeying. That feels almost honest. Othric holds the oath standard above the command balcony. Malus stands beside him with the Ash Charter pressed against her bleeding chest. Military law and tribunal law fuse into one command. Erase the domain, Othric says. The fortress answers. A pillar of white fire crashes through the tribunal roof. Mara raises her black-silver hand. 500 undead servants move before the light reaches us. Linen Mistress spreads every soul shroud across the courtyard. Chief Porter lifts 3 barrier towers and locks them overhead. Furnace Chef opens all 6 rib ovens along his spine. The solar flame hits. The shrouds burn. The barriers crack. The ovens swallow everything else. Black fire erupts from Furnace Chef's mouth and races through the execution channels. The fortress tries to purify my household. My household cleans the fire. The absurdity remains magnificent. I step into the courtyard. Bone aura spreads with me, not outward, downward. The fortress foundations contain the remains of every worker sacrificed during its construction. Stonecutters buried beneath unfinished walls. Porters crushed inside supply tunnels. Prisoners sealed into holy foundations because priests claim unwilling bones hold blessings longer. Thousands. The Dominion turns corpses into architecture and calls me profane. I touch the nearest wall. Wake up. The foundations move. Skeleton hands tear through golden stone. Spines uncoil from pillars. Skulls open inside saint statues. The dead do not rise as soldiers. They rise carrying hammers, chisels, ropes, and work ledgers. Builders. Laborers. The first household of the fortress. A system alert flashes across my vision. Abandoned workforce recognized. Emergency employment available through active domain. No authority cost appears. The fortress already owns them. Mara owns the fortress. Technicalities remain wonderfully lethal. She turns the mason key. 3,000 dead workers seize the execution formation from inside. Purification channels reverse. Bell towers rotate toward the command balcony. Walls stop crushing the household. They begin enclosing the army. Othric's soldiers panic. He raises the oath standard higher. Hold formation. The command brands across 800 holy knights ignite. They obey. Even the wounded stand. Even the frightened raise shields. Even the soldiers staring at dead relatives climbing from the walls lock their feet in place. Othric does not lead loyalty. He enforces it. That becomes his weakness. I push bone aura through every oath brand. The network recognizes me after the tribunal transfer. One connection. 800 bodies. I steal the command holding their knees straight. The soldiers collapse. Not injured. Released. Othric remains standing alone. His standard loses its golden light. He looks down at the army. Rise. No one moves. Some cannot. Most simply choose not to. The High Marshal finally understands the difference. Malus opens the Ash Charter. Black letters rise around her. The tribunal recognizes no household sovereignty. All dead testimony is inadmissible. All necromantic contracts are void. Mara's keys slow. The old servant voices flicker. Malus is not attacking bodies. She is attacking recognition. Without recognition, final inspection loses jurisdiction. Without jurisdiction, the old household becomes noise. She knows exactly where to cut. Of course she does. I turn toward the tribunal walls. Every confession remains carved in gold. Bastion's promises. Elowen's admissions. Caldra's surgical record. Othric's seizure order. Malus's own words. The Ash Charter begins erasing them. Mara throws the judgment key. It enters the charter like a knife. The book snaps shut on it. For 1 second, neither authority moves. Then Malus pulls. Mara pulls back through the household link. The entire fortress trembles between them. Malus looks at me. You cannot build law from corpses. No, I say. They already built yours. The buried workers lift their tools. Every foundation stone carries a name. Every tribunal wall contains ash. Every execution platform contains bone. The Ash Charter is written on parchment made from servant skin. The revelation enters the system. Not mine. The fortress's. Recognition recalculates. The dead are not outside the law. They are the physical material supporting it. Mara turns the judgment key. The Ash Charter tears open. Thousands of erased names return across its pages. Malus's authority collapses. The golden chains around my household shatter. Her black-edged sword falls from her hand. She looks at the book as though it has betrayed her. Books rarely betray anyone. They merely stop hiding the footnotes. The execution formation breaks. The final battle ends in one violent breath. Chief Porter smashes the oath standard. Linen Mistress wraps the solar seals in preserved testimony. Furnace Chef devours the remaining purification fire. The Cinder Hounds drag Othric from the balcony. Tribunal servants seize Malus. Elowen crawls toward the chapel. Bastion remains trapped beneath his employment seals. 4 villains. 4 accounts. Mara rings the bell. The last household gathers in the execution courtyard. Living holy knights fill the walls. Ordinary servants stand beside them wearing stolen solar armor. The dead workers occupy the foundations, windows, rooftops, and broken statues. No one cheers. Judgment does not need applause. I begin with Othric. The Cinderhounds force him to his knees beneath the empty command balcony. His white gold armor is cracked. His spotless cloak drags through mud. He looks at the soldiers refusing his orders. Then at me. You have no authority here, he says. The same sentence. Even now. I remember when his hand closes around my shoulder in the ruined chapel. I remember the Colossus rising. I remember him telling me the same thing while expecting me to save his fortress. I take the broken oath standard from Chief Porter. You have no authority here. I repeat it exactly. Othric's face hardens. I place the standard across my knee and snap it. His military class does not disappear. That would be too easy. Mara turns the soldier key backward. Every command Othric issues from this moment requires the willing agreement of the person receiving it. No forced oath. No emergency seizure. No branded obedience. His voice remains powerful. It simply possesses no compulsion. The Western soldiers look at him. He orders them to free him. Not one moves. I assign him to the outer roads as an unranked shield bearer. He will stand at the front of every evacuation column. He will carry civilians before supplies. He will receive no command privilege, no officers' quarters, and no sanctified armor beyond what living servants choose to repair. The man who treats soldiers and undead as assets becomes dependent on the consent of every worker he once ignored. He does not beg. Not yet. He will. Later. I prefer long punishments when the crime lasts for years. Elowen comes next. Mara's chains drag her before the execution fire. The 7 solar seals orbit Linen Mistress, each wrapped in a soul shroud bearing the name of someone Elowen erases. The prior stares at the relics. Without them, she looks smaller, older, human. She lifts her broken wrist. Your hands are fit only for grave dirt. The exact words leave her mouth again. She tries to make them an accusation. They sound like a confession. I take her uninjured hand. Your hands are fit only for grave dirt. I repeat it exactly. Then I press her palm against the burial ledger. Every name she burns enters her skin. Black letters crawl from her fingertips to her shoulders. Selamar. Tavan Reed. Harapin. Just Veil. Thousands more. She screams when the memories follow. Not death. Work. Hunger. Locked gates. Children taken from evacuation carts. Bodies burned before testimony. Every erased life becomes something she must remember without pause. I strip her class of purification. I leave her healing. That matters. The dead cannot punish her memories if madness or age provides an escape. She will maintain the Fortress Grave archive. Alone. No assistance. No solar seal. Every body receives a name before burial. Every family receives a record. Every missing worker remains inside her mind until the archive is complete. The woman who removes inconvenient history becomes its permanent storage. She begs when Mara closes the archive door. I do not answer. Bastian begins screaming before his turn arrives. His employment seals keep him kneeling beside the accounting table. 300 black brands cover his clothes and skin. He cannot move without an assigned task. He cannot speak unless speech relates to that task. He can still understand everything. That is important. I stop in front of him. He forces his mouth open. Even a dead woman would refuse to serve you. The words emerge because the seals classify them as prior testimony. Exact. Preserved. Pathetic. I crouch. Even a dead woman would refuse to serve you. I repeat it exactly. Mara stands beside me. She looks down at the man who tries to cut the bell from her chest. Bastian begins offering vaults again. The brands allow it because he considers bargaining a professional function. I open the Crow transfer register. Every warehouse. Every road contract. Every ration monopoly. Every unpaid servant debt. House Crow owns almost 1/3 of the Western Dominion's supply network. Not anymore. Mara turns the employer key. All Crow property transfers to the people whose labor creates its value. Living kitchen workers receive the food stores. Porters receive the wagons. Stable hands receive the horses. Laundry workers receive the cloth houses. The families abandoned during the Colossus evacuation receive the treasury. Bastian watches his empire divide line by line. Then I give him his assignment. He becomes the sole living servant of the dead household archive. No command authority. No wages. No ownership. He cleans the ash vaults. He carries grave markers. He washes the uniforms of every undead worker he calls free labor. The employment seals compel perfect performance according to his own design. No rest. No refusal. No independent movement during assigned hours. I preserve 1 hour each night without orders. Enough time to understand tomorrow is coming. Mara hands him a mop. His body accepts it before his mind does. He starts cleaning the mud beneath her feet. The first stroke is excellent. Naturally, Malus is last. Tribunal servants remove her armor. They place her before the execution pyre she supervises for years. The fire is cold now. The wood remains stacked around the post prepared for me. Malus looks at it, then at Mara, then at the ash charter filled with restored names. She does not plead. That almost earns respect. Almost. When the fire starts, try not to scream, she says. It ruins the hymns. Exact words. Her voice remains calm. I step onto the pyre. Not inside it. Above it. When the fire starts, try not to scream. It ruins the hymns. I repeat every word. Then Mara hands me the tribunal bell. I ring it once. Every execution Malus authorizes appears around the courtyard as a spectral scene. Condemned workers. Forbidden healers. Grave listeners. Shadow confessors. People burned because legal categories are easier to defend than human decisions. Malus watches herself sign every order. I followed the charter, she says. Yes. The sentences were lawful. Yes. I did not invent the crimes. No. Confusion reaches her face. She expects argument. I have none. Her guilt is not corruption. It is obedience polished into virtue. I place the ash charter in her hands. Then I remove every fixed sentence from it. No automatic burning. No class-based guilt. No priestly immunity. No military exception. Every future judgment requires the justiciar to experience the victim's final memory before issuing a verdict. Mara marks Malus with the witness key. She will remain justiciar. She will hear every scream before authorizing another. She will feel every flame before ordering a pyre lit. She cannot resign. She cannot delegate. She cannot hide behind text she refuses to experience. The woman who says screams ruin hymns becomes the only judge in the Dominion who can never stop hearing them. Her face finally breaks. She asks me to execute her instead. I step down from the pyre. No, death is not always the harsher sentence. The last household spends the next month rebuilding the western fortress. Not into a palace, not into a temple, into a service citadel. The execution courtyard becomes an open registry where living and dead workers sign contracts in their own names. The tribunal becomes a witness hall. The plague furnaces become kitchens, workshops, and resurrection chambers. Holy knights retain their classes. They lose their monopoly. Any knight seeking household aid must offer something in return. Labor, protection, soul crystal, legal recognition, sometimes merely a sincere apology followed by 3 hours of window repair. Mara sets the rates. They are ruthless. Business flourishes. Undead maids spread across the western roads. They operate hospitals during sieges, repair armor between battles, recover bodies after gates collapse, strip curses from relics, steal hostile blessings, raise fallen monsters as transport beasts. Holy knights complain constantly. They also submit requests 3 months in advance. Garen Holt becomes the first shield apostle to sign a permanent mutual service contract. He offers fortress protection. Mara assigns him linen duty every 7th day. He folds perfect corners now. Othric carries evacuation shields on the northern road. Aloan writes names in the grave archive without sleep. Bastion scrubs ash from worker memorials under the supervision of undead laundresses. Malus holds court beneath walls that whisper the memories of the accused. None receives forgiveness. None is forgotten. At the center of the fortress, the old accounting hall becomes the Black Bell Registry. No throne waits inside. Only a long service counter, hundreds of contract drawers, and one bell set into black stone. I sit behind the ledger while holy knights form a line stretching into the courtyard. Some need armor repaired. Some need curses removed. Some want fallen companions returned long enough to say goodbye. One arrogant sword saint places a purse of gold on the counter and demands priority. Mara looks at the purse, then at the mud on his boots. She points toward a mop. He argues for 6 seconds. The 500 undead workers behind her all stop moving. He takes the mop. I open the ledger to his contract. The Dominion once decides power belongs only to the holy. Then its walls crack, its supplies fail, and its dead begin keeping records. Now every knight entering my fortress learns the same administrative truth. Nothing is free. Not labor, not silence, not resurrection, especially not consequences. Mara rings the black bell. The next holy knight steps forward to bribe the only necromancer in the world. I smile and name my price.